Hello and welcome to this week's See You Next Thursday for our season preview, where no doubt we will make a whole bunch of terrible predictions that come nowhere close to being true. Today we have Ed 25 and Ed 6.9. So how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Seamus?
I'm not Ed 6.9, but you know what 6.9 is?
Now go on, what's 6.9?
It's a perfectly good thing ruined by a period.
Oh god.
Yeah, you were right about that. Thank you.
Oh god. Do you know what? I'm really regretting giving you the chance to shoehorn a joke in already. Oh god. Billy, remind me to scrub that note out to allow him to shoehorn a note in, yeah, after we finish. So I don't do it again next week.
Yeah, you're gonna duck me my pay, aren't you?
Already have,
Take
mate.
it out.
Already have. We did that because you were late. That's already. Yeah, you were what, 5 seconds late. That's it. Pay's deducted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, if you asked Rashford, then he would have said, yeah, that's fine. Did you hear he was like 40? Yeah, it's come out like he was 45 seconds late and got dropped.
Yeah.
I actually like that.
Well,
I was impressed by Ten Hag when he done that, to be honest with you.
Him and Foden have been hanging around, so it'll be up to 2 minutes by next season. Next season. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he can sort Foden out. He likes helping
I was thinking.
No, I'm being serious. He likes helping the ones that need help.
Yeah, the less fortunate, and Foden's certainly less fortunate. Have you seen the state of his face? God. I know, before anybody says anything, I know what you're all thinking about to comment, if there was anybody listening. Anyway, they're all thinking, what do you mean less fortunate? Look at his face. Look at your fucking face. That's what they're all thinking. I know it.
I said it was.
Yeah, I know you were, Bill. That was the first thing in your mind, I know.
Absolutely.
I could hear your cogs whirring as you thought it. So where are we going to start anyway? I take it we're just going to go through team by team. Are we just going to start at the bottom? Oh, Christ, I don't know where do we start at the bottom of the table or?
Yeah, I'd say don't go alphabetical, one of the two.
What I was thinking, is it alphabetical or do we just go from the bottom?
Let's just do it from last year's table, Man City to begin with, and then we can go through the promoted sides later on.
Okay. That sounds good to me, dudes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. So we start with Man City. They've actually their transfer window. What do we think of it so far? It's not been.
They only bought one player, haven't they? Garbadow.
I can't remember who they bought on the bloody pages.
Yeah, they bought Kovacic. I think Gvardiol is Gvardiol is mostly like completed. I don't know. It's been official actually. I've seen that video with Guardiola and Gvardiol.
Yeah, so they've got them two.
He's going to be a very good signing for them. It'd be a good signing for anyone, to be honest with you. But the fee was massive.
Well, it's not that with Gvardiol. I just didn't see that he was what they needed. I mean, that was probably the one area they didn't really need to buy in. They've got so many centre backs already. Just seems.
Yeah, the thing is, like Chris, I think I agree with you, but it's kind of the case of you can never have enough of good things.
Yeah, I can see that, but I just thought they should have bought a midfielder, because otherwise they've still got Calvin Phillips. They've got Mateo Kovacic, who's shit. Let's be honest, he's not very good. But you look at their attack. I mean, they've just got Foden, Grealish, Haaland, and Alvarez. That's it.
I think as a whole, no, it's a good team, but I think as a whole, as the season is starting, I think Man City are a weaker side than the team that won the treble 2 months ago.
Yeah, and they're after Paqueta, aren't they, at the moment? From West Ham.
Yeah, but
so he'd be a good signing, to be fair.
I'm not his biggest fan, but
Do you not like him?
he's. I don't think he's worth the numbers that are being mooted around. That's my issue.
Is anybody worth the numbers that are going around this summer? I don't think anyone is.
I don't think they are, no. No, I don't think they are.
know.
The Saudis
I know.
have made the market go even more insane than usual.
Oh,
Yeah.
Big Mac is, or Little Mac, should it be? He was worth the money, for sure. McAllister.
Yeah, it was a good price. It was a good price, huh?
It's a fair point, yeah.
Very good price.
But
But I think he might be one of the very, very, very few players moving in the English football that's anywhere near their actual worth.
Yeah, I agree with that,
Yeah.
Deeps, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, he costs the same as Saudis paid for Riyad Mahrez.
Yeah. People are going on about
He cost less than Fabinho.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely it did, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very good player as well, McAllister.
But the transfer market's gone silly at the moment. The wages they're asking for and the fees they're asking for. Like, to be honest with you, there's been a lot of toxicity in the on the Liverpool pages. I know I'm jumping the gun here, but over Lavia, I don't think he's worth 50 million. And for a 19-year-old who's had one season, not even
I'll give you the numbers.
I don't think he's
I will
worth
try
it.
and explain the numbers. I'll try and explain the numbers because I'm obviously the math expert on the podcast here. When we get to Liverpool, I will do all the maths.
Oh, Christ, we're in trouble then.
No,
Go
that's
on, man, do the numbers.
No, we'll get to Liverpool. Then we'll do that. They're not
Okay,
the defending. Yeah, they're not the defending champions.
Oh, no, okay.
We
We'll go
cannot
with still Man City then. I think Man
we
I think
cannot
Man
afford
City
to
have
upset
still
the
got-
Man City supporters.
Yeah, because
yeah, I
people
think
will be listening to this and wondering, wanting to hear about their
What
club.
else do they have to do?
Yeah.
They've got
I
nothing.
think they've still got a marvellous squad.
Well, yeah,
You're playing Carvajal. He is, for me, a really good player. And if a player like that becomes available, Man City are going to go for him, whether they need him or not, because he's a quality player. For me, he's a quality player. And they've got quality all over the pitch and on the subs bench. So anyone who's of that ilk, who's that good a footballer, Man City are going to be interested because they can afford to be. Whether that's legally or not, that's what they're going to do.
But my point is, the one they needed to buy was Declan Rice, and they missed out on him because they wouldn't match Arsenal's fee, and I do not understand that.
Yeah. And they paid the same amount for Jack Grealish.
Exactly, that's what I mean. They paid almost exactly the same amount for Jack Grealish as Declan Rice cost, yet Declan Rice is a better player. And
absolutely,
a player they actually needed. That just made no sense to me. I really do not understand the signing of Kovacic. He's just simply not very good.
Oh, we said it before as well, and we said it during the transfer as well, but they should have gone in for McAllister instead.
Yeah, exactly. Why did they not? I don't understand why they didn't go in for it.
Yeah.
It was a similar fee for both. One is a younger player, better fitness and everything. They could even go for Caicedo. Right now.
Yeah, there's so many other options, but like I just didn't understand. I understand you get Guardiola because he's great, and you know that kind of quality comes available. If you can afford him, you go and buy him. But I just didn't think it's. I just think when you're buying it, you know, when you're building a squad, you buy players to fit the squad, not to fit your team. I mean, rather than just buying players because they're great. Otherwise, you could end up with 11 of the best defenders in the world, and can only play 4 of them at a time. I mean, 4 or 5, depending on how you play.
But they are in the enviable position that they can buy as much as they want, spend as many players as they want, for as much as they want, because they're cheats, and that's the truth. So, if good players come up, the window's not over yet. It wouldn't surprise me if Manchester City buy at least one, maybe two more quality players. As you say, Caicedo is still undecided. I know they're going to have to pay 100 million for him, but they can do that. They're one of the few clubs who can actually do that.
But what I get that, but why buy Kovacic at all? I just don't understand it. Go and buy Caicedo,
no, I don't see that.
Go and buy Declan Rice, whatever. Yeah. But Kovacic, I just don't get that signing at all. It's a bit like Arsenal buying Jorginho last January. I mean, it just made absolutely no sense.
Havertz. Them buying Havertz?
Yeah. We'll mention that next.
Well, we're coming on to them in a minute, because they've been second. But on Man City, I think Mahrez is going to be a bit of a loss for them. He didn't start every game, but he was effective the games he did start. And he added goals to the side as well. I can't see Kovacic matching that goal tally that they're going to miss with Mahrez.
And he's not a wide player anyway. He's a central midfielder. He doesn't really score. He doesn't really tackle. He doesn't break up play. I don't actually know what he does do well. Kovacic.
And where do you think Bernardo Silva comes into this? Do you think? I know he wants to go. Well, he's told them he wants to go, but whether they let him go, I'm not sure.
They tried to let him go last summer and couldn't get rid of him. So, couldn't find anyone who pay enough money. So just because he wanted to go to Barcelona. I don't know this summer whether he'll accept somewhere else or not. But if he still wants only Barcelona, then there's not a chance. He's stuck there again. And can he continue to put in good numbers and continue to play as well as he did when he's unhappy? I don't know.
But would City be one of the only teams in England who could sign Mbappe? For a season-long loan or a season, pay 50 million for a season. They could actually do that, and what a signing he'd be for someone. If he doesn't go straight to Real Madrid, that is, of course.
Well, yeah, it'd be whoever gets him, it'd be brilliant. But it's like, yeah, I don't see it happening. I think.
No, I don't see him going to England.
I think Madrid will end up. See, this is what worries me: is if Man City go in, buy Tchouaméni from Real Madrid to give them the funds to go and complete the purchase of Mbappe early. That's what worries me. Because Tchouaméni would be an excellent addition to the City midfield. Another one that they should have been in for initially rather than about with Kovacic. It just you go and get the right players rather than just go and get.
Yeah.
But
Kovacic wasn't even the right midfielder they should have targeted at Chelsea.
No, exactly. He's not. He doesn't even shoot. I just don't see what Pep saw in him. I don't understand it.
I'm sure they're looking. Not weird. I think they're looking to replace Gundogan with Kovacic, but like we already mentioned, he doesn't profile anywhere near Gundogan's.
No, Gundogan was excellent.
And he was a reliable source of goal for Man City.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't know whether someone. I don't know who is a big fan and who isn't, but I don't think you can find any person in the whole damn world that can say that Kovacic is anywhere near a goal threat, let alone a proper goal threat like Gundogan.
No, he doesn't offer goals, does he? He doesn't really offer a lot, does he? Let's be honest. I mean, you look through his. It's hard to figure out what he offers to a team.
Yeah, the Man City would have been better off with Mason Mount.
Yeah, very possibly, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of other options out there. It's just a bizarre one. But you're still at the end of the day, anybody that beats them or finishes above them in the table is likely to win the league. Because I can't see them finish top any lower than second at worst. Even if they have a bad season, they're still likely to be second, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah. They have got a lot of quality, and they've got a lot of good players.
Yeah, but every time they've had a bad season, they've still come second. So they're just so far ahead financially of the rest of the league. That it makes it that little bit easier for them when they have a bad year.
Yeah, yeah. No pressure on them, and winning the Champions League was the icing on the cake for them last year. So it's not as if they're going to want to change much of it than what they won last year.
I don't think they're as good as they were last year, and I wonder how much longer do they have Haaland for? Is it
Not sure.
Is it next summer?
Yeah, I think there's a 120 million clause for 2024.
Yeah, to go to Real Madrid, in case anybody's wondering, because that's his plan, is to go to Real Madrid.
Maybe they can change his mind. They've still got another year.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Yeah.
Things.
Well, if Real Madrid buy Mbappe this summer, can they afford to then go and get Haaland next summer as well?
It's a big ask, isn't it, financially?
They're gonna have to let. They'd have to let. What's his name?
Tchouameni.
No, the winger go. The one that's having the
Vinicius.
Vinicius Junior.
Vinicius Junior.
I couldn't think of his name then. Yeah, I think they'd have to let him go to fund if both moves. I think, and that would be kind of like for like loss, really, because he's probably close to their level.
Hang on a minute.
Oh.
Since we've touched Real Madrid, I think it's gonna be bad for me to not mention that De Gea might get the move.
Oh yeah, yeah. Depends. Is their fax working?
Who cares?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if the fax isn't working, the move might not happen again.
Yeah.
No, but this time there is no deadline for fax machines.
Oh yeah, because he's a free agent, they can just sign him at any point, can't they? Now, that was funny though, and that was the same summer though. That's why I said it. It was the same summer, wasn't it? That the three lawyers claimed to be from Man United turned up to try and sign Ander Herrera. Wasn't it the same summer?
I don't think it was the same summer, but there was a period when things were like amazingly shit for United.
It was just actually crazy. I mean, what was that all about? Nobody knows what that was all about. Because they just vanished into the night, didn't they, those three guys?
Even that fax whole fiasco, that's still not completely...
Yeah, it's an odd one now.
Explained. Keylor Navas was apparently crying in the aeroplane, and then the move fell through.
Yeah, it was.
The details aren't completely out in the open still. One of these days, someone is gonna do an interview or write a book about someone has to. I'm sure someone has to write a book about all the Manchester United transfer magic during the Woodward period.
Oh, they've got to, because that was it was just such an insane period, especially those couple of seasons where all this was going on. Anyway,
I was so sad, but I was so sad. Like I absolutely adore De Gea. I was so sad with the whole thing, and I know it's a very bad thing, but when I read the news that Courtois has done his ACL, I was like, oh yes. My boy is gonna get his dream. He recently got married. Now finally he can move back to Madrid.
Yeah, that's what it belongs.
So you're
Right, we're moving on.
celebrating because someone got an ACL injury. I've heard it all, you sick man. Oh, really disappointed. Yeah, no, it is finally. It is like could be a nice end to his career.
Yeah.
So what about?
He might need the money.
Yeah. So what about Arsenal? What do we think of them this season?
I
Won
think
the
they'll be
league.
up there again. Yeah, I think
They
they'll
won
be
the
up there
league.
again.
They've already won the league, Billy. I don't think they're over. They won the league last week.
How come their squad suddenly got so huge? When one minute they used to have a couple of seasons ago, they had a tiny squad and could barely put together a full match day 18 like. Now they got like 500 players in it. I suppose they have been spending huge amounts of money, to be fair.
Yeah. Do you think Balogun will get a chance this year, Chris?
Well, they're trying to sell him, aren't they?
Oh, I thought you were going to keep hold of him.
They should do, but they won't. They're trying to sell him, which is even more
Oh,
bizarre now that Jesus has got injured. I'm still being careful with that one.
I'll stitch you up somewhere along the line.
So what do you think of the signing of Timber? Because we all agree that Declan Rice is a good signing. It's just overpriced. Kai Havertz is just bizarre. I don't think there's any argument on that one. But Timber, we haven't discussed him. He's the other signing they've made.
I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I've heard about him, but I've never actually seen him play.
I'm gotta be honest. I've not. I don't like him as a player, to be honest. I'm not even sure what he actually is. He's a very short centre back.
He can play left side, can he?
Right.
Left side, or right for the wing back.
Yeah, right back.
Yeah.
Centre back.
Yeah, but if they're gonna spend money on someone to play right back or left back, then they should be buying a full back, not.
Exactly.
He's a half and half. Like he's not. I don't think he's a Premier League ready centre back right now. I don't think he's good enough to be a long marauding, forward marauding fullback either. And I think he's just gonna be a cover player. And do they really need to spend that much on a player who's not gonna get into their first team?
And he's not like a player that you buy for this half and half role that they all seem to be wanting their fullbacks to play either. He's not he's. So the only thing I can think of is that they're going with the half and up, but the left side's going to be the one stepping out. Zinchenko sticking with that, and he's playing as a semi right back, right centre back. And they've gone full on with that.
Yeah, the reverse Robertson.
Yeah. That's what it seems to me. I'm just not sure I'm that impressed with that idea myself. I don't.
How do we think they'll do this season, Arsenal? Do we think they're going to be top 3 again?
Do you know what? I really don't know. I really don't know what to think. I'm looking at their squad and it's huge. I'm still not convinced Arteta is actually any good. I mean, how can he be getting such people raving about him, but he's spending like 200 million every summer?
Yeah.
And I mean 200 million. I don't mean 200 million and then selling some. But basically they're spending 200 million out every summer.
Yeah. What did they get for Saka? Did they get much money for Saka?
Around 20, I think.
No. It's about 12 million pounds.
Yeah, it's not much, is it? For you to be investing 200.
They've got about 6-7 million for the keeper. About 5 million for that defender they sold to Sheffield United, and about 4 million for Pablo Mari. All told, they've received about 30 million, and they've spent like well over 200 million, nearly 230 million, about 220 225, something like that. They've spent, like I said, it's nearly 200 million they've spent.
Yeah, they must have high hopes then, if they're spending that sort of money. I know they're in the Champions League and that'll get them a few bob, but
They keep
still does
spending
matter.
these huge figures. For me, I don't see how it's sustainable for any club.
No.
Just make me wonder, how are they managing to keep doing this without falling foul of FFP regs?
Guardiola school of coaching.
Yeah, just spend and spend and spend and spend and ignore ignore anything else. That just seems what he's doing, and I don't understand why he's not being questioned. I mean, really, the amount they've spent, he should have been second. Second should be the bare minimum, really, last season, when you look at his spending. And again, this season, he should be looking at pushing for the first.
But they are desperate for a centre forward who can put the ball in the net. Eddie Nketiah looks as though he might be going out on loan, actually. I heard that Nketiah might go on loan. They've got Balogun, they've got Jesus, but none of them are prolific scorers, are they? So I haven't seen much of Balogun, to be honest with you.
But he's unproven in the Premier League.
Yeah, but he does score goals whenever he's played. He's got a very good record.
I think if they were to sell one of the academy strikers, it should have been Nketiah.
Oh, Nketiah should have been sold long ago. He's never been good enough or close to it. I don't understand why he's still there. It's a bizarre one.
I really thought he had potential, but he done nothing basically last year, never done much at all. And I'm not a Jesus fan either, even if he is fit, when he is fit. He misses too many chances for me for a centre forward.
He's not a good centre forward in my.
No, not for me either.
He's not a bad, he's not a bad one, but he's not he's not gonna win you a championship, basically.
No.
Like you buy Haaland, he wins you a title, but
yeah.
Jesus doesn't win you a fucking thing. If anything, he stops you, holds you back.
Yeah, I'd say so. He's not one of my favourite players, I must admit.
No, I should have taken the bet. Like somebody on the Arsenal site wanted to bet with me that he'd be out, that he'd outscore Nunes. I was like, I don't gamble, so. But I wish I had now.
No, I think that's only half the bid. You remember, it wasn't just Nunes. It was a certain Scandinavian striker as well.
Yeah, exactly. They thought he'd outscore Haaland.
They've also brought in David Raya, by the way. So it does actually.
Is it done now?
Yeah.
Because it's not listed as being done.
Yeah, I know it's not listed as being done, but it's pretty much done. Medical spending.
But isn't that on? Oh no, that's the loan one, isn't it? They're
no, but still that loan fee takes it over 300. Sorry, over 200 again.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It was slightly below 200 their expenditure, but with that loan fee, it's again about 200. I just don't understand how the Arsenal supporters can get angry about us spending money when they are the ones spending just as much.
But they're very. They seem to think they're winning when they're spending money. They seem to think it is a bonus, but when anybody else does, it's cheating. I don't understand. I can understand.
Well, I think they're going to finish top three.
I can understand it if they said it about Everton because obviously you're under FFP restrictions, so why should they be spending? But when Man United are, they're Man United. Of course they're going to spend bloody money. They've got loads of it. It's something they can do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they did.
I still fancy them top three. Where do you think they'll finish, Chris? I'm saying top three.
Oh, they've got to. If they don't, I don't see how Arteta can keep his job after this amount of spending. I'm not convinced if they don't win. I don't see how he deserves to keep his job if they don't win the league with the amount of money they've spent.
So it's going to be harder than Man City winning the league. The expectation even of winning the league with Man City. Arteta seemed to give up last year when they were still mathematically in it. He gave up and said, we can't, we're not going to win the league. And it was a bit of a defeatist attitude for me, but I think he was right. I think you've got to be ahead of Man City by quite a bit in the final weeks to even have a chance.
They threw it away. That's the point I'm making. Is that like you can't?
Yeah.
After that, you've got to go and then win the league the next season. Otherwise, you've got to be considered. You've got to be considered as a failure after the way he's done it. And also, you've got to remember that City, after a season like they've had last season, they've won everything. It is so difficult to go out there and do it again. To just So you've got to think this is the chance for somebody else to nick a title. And if you're Arsenal, you've spent 200 odd million. You've got to say you've got to win something, or you don't deserve to keep your job if you're Arteta. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, the expectation's really high for Arsenal this year. Whether they actually do it is debatable, but the expectation of the supporters and the whole club is that they've got a really good chance of winning the league. I don't think so, but that is the expectation of Arsenal at the moment.
Do you know what? I can't remember who was third. I was just going to say, should we move on to who's next? And I honestly have my mind's gone completely blank. Who was it? United last season? It was Man United.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just couldn't remember that. I was about to say, should we move on to the next one? I literally just couldn't remember who the hell it was.
Right, Deeps, what's your expectations for Man United this year?
The supporter Deeps thinks we're gonna win the league, obviously.
Yeah.
The normal.
I'm sorry. Can I just stop you there? When you said thinks, have you ever done that? Really, truly? Let's just don't say thinks, because that's just not. We can't accept that as you, mate. I'm sorry.
No, I think about United all the time. That's how the superstition got brought into life.
Well, it looks as though they've done the best bit of business in the transfer window, by the way. Yeah, absolutely.
Really, I just saw a piece of news and I'm fuming right now.
What?
Son of a bitch, we've agreed to sell Matej Kovar. We want to bring in a young goalkeeper in. That's been out in the open. And to fund that, we're selling a young goalkeeper away. Why not just try that kid?
Yeah, I don't get
It's bizarre, man. It's bizarre.
And all clubs seem to do it these days.
Yeah.
And before anybody is like, oh, he's young. Firstly, we're not gonna obviously make him the number one. Even if we sign someone from outside, we're not gonna bring him in to be the number one. Secondly, he actually apparently did really well for his club on loan. Helped them win the league in I don't know how many years.
That one.
Yeah, the guy at Prague.
Kovac.
Give him a chance. If Bayer Leverkusen think is half decent to fork out around 8-10 million, then give him a chance.
Mm.
We're struggling to bring in a backup goalkeeper anyways.
Yeah, and I don't understand this new thing that's become commonplace in the league, either of a third choice goalkeeper who's experienced. What's that all about?
Everybody seems to want at least 3 first team goalkeepers.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
What's wrong with having a youth team player with a chance to play? I don't understand it.
Go on.
When did it become the thing that you have to have 3 goalkeepers? I mean, there's no need for it. It's the one position you can take an emergency loan on. If you have injury problems, so you don't have to rely on the kid anyway. You could still go out and get an experienced goalkeeper as an emergency loan if need be. Or there'd probably be one of them that's one of those older ones. It'd still be a free agent you could sign when you needed them if need be as well. I do not get this third choice goalkeeper lark. Just seems like a nice easy job for the third choice goalkeeper, like, but just makes no
Yeah,
sense. to
okay.
me.
Now that I've got that off my chest, let's celebrate.
Celebrate getting rid of Maguire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
of
gonna.
course.
Yes! David Moyes back to rescue Man United. He's a legend, man. He's a legend.
I think this is his way of making up for being so shit when he was in charge, isn't it?
No, this is his way of making himself a legend in my eyes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's trying to
Not a
make up for
single
the
bad word
mistake
can
he
be
made.
said about the man anymore now.
Yeah, you'll be getting a statue put up outside Old Trafford.
No, outside London Stadium. Outside London Stadium.
I know they definitely won't be putting up a statue to him, not unless they want something to throw stuff at. Aye.
He's gonna be, I read on a rumor site that he's actually gonna be their captain as well.
Well, yeah, that's the rumour is that that apparently he's offered him the captaincy to get him to agree to join them. It's like, what? Hang on. If you've got to convince him to join, that should should be looking elsewhere anyway.
No, if you have to convince him so hard to join, then surely it means he's not captaincy material at least.
Exactly. I'm not being funny, but like, Zuma's a dick, but he's a much better centre half than Maguire, and the other one, Agud. Is it Agud? Agud?
Yeah,
However you
Agud.
pronounce him. Yeah. Him.
However you pronounce.
He's better as well. I don't see the need for Maguire.
No, but even if there is a need, even if they want a centre back, and if I'm being honest, I think you do decently well in a David Moyes system.
Yeah, true. I agree with that.
But like you said, it's not even a guarantee that he gets into the strongest 11 every week.
No. But he'll be their captain, so he will do. He'll be first choice, and it makes no sense.
No. I was just made up. I wouldn't have ever got him, to be honest with you. We were linked with him.
Oh, you're lucky you don't have the money. You're lucky.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
right now
absolutely,
you have to
yeah.
be thankful. You have to be thankful to us, Mosiri, that he's such
Yeah.
a
Best thing the series ever done, man. Not get Eddie.
You actually seem to do better in the transfer market since you've run out of money, bizarrely.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Onana? Deeps,
No.
the keeper.
I haven't watched him play much. I've said it before. I think as a whole, I expect him to be positive for the team, which means I think because of his style of play, by virtue of his overall gameplay, we're gonna have to end up with a net positive of 0.1.
I agree with you. Hey, he will.
He's a risky type of goalkeeper. My impression of him is he's a bit erratic.
Yeah.
Even like in his sweeper keeper role. I'm not even just talking about the keeping ball out of the net side of the game. Even in his general play with the ball, I think he's a bit erratic. But I think he's gonna be a net positive for the team.
It's a step forward. I'm not his biggest fan, as you know. I think that, like I said, I think you agree with me on this. You should have gone for Maignan, really. But I do think he's a step forward as a goalkeeper. Definitely a better one.
But I
And
think,
know he's
that's a
gonna
bit. It's a bit too much expenditure from us. My personal opinion is, although we've got the right profile of players, we've generally paid a bit too much for everyone.
But like we said, I think the whole market's been a bit off this summer. I was going to say, yeah, the thing with... what was I going to say? Shit, I've forgotten what I was in the middle of saying.
Onana. You were talking about Onana.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know I thought you should have got a different keeper, but I do think he'll be a step forward. He will risk getting chipped from the halfway line and stuff like that occasionally. That does happen. But I mean, that's the style of play. It happens to
Everyone.
Ange Postecoglou's goalkeepers. It was a big thing in when he was Australia manager and when he was managing in Japan and that. But his team still went on and won things with the goalkeeper that would get caught sometimes. Billy, have you got the TV on by any chance?
No, mate. Why?
Because I can hear the TV. I think it's the background of yours, I think.
Oh, right, I got the close next door. It might have been my TV. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
The door was open to the air.
Ah, right. It's amazing how it picks up that. Because it's speech, I suppose. It picks up the speech on the microphone. Because it searches for speech.
Yeah,
Clever how they do that these days. Anyway, yes, who else did you buy? Højlund, pleased with him?
It's Rasmus Højlund. No. I like I said before, it's too much money for everyone. I think it's too much money for Onana, for Mount, for Højlund, but
Johnny Evans isn't too much money, I wouldn't have said. He was quite a good buy.
has he actually signed on for the year?
No, he's on a short-term contract, isn't he?
And we're trying to. I think we've offered him a 1-year deal, and it's up in the air whether it's gonna be taken up or not. I think the nature. No, but I think the nature of the deal is as important as the deal itself. If he's gonna move into the academy coach like Tom Huddleston and Paul Muxin beforehand have done, then it's a fine move. If he's gonna be the first choice centre back, then I'll be worried because whether he's a good player or not, Mr. Evans is quite famous for being injury prone. That was the reason his career at Man United ended beforehand as well. It's never been about quality.
It's very true.
It's always been about availability, and one thing we've learned from watching football is that players who are injury prone at 30 don't become fit as a fiddle at 37.
He's 35. But yeah, I take your point. Yeah, he's not going to get any fitter, more available. So somebody's got a breathing problem there as well.
That's pizza.
Yeah.
I think pizza's
Deep's getting excited. It's because we're talking about Man United. He's getting all excited. Heavy breathing.
What do you guys think
Put
about
the tissues down,
Højlund
will you?
move? What do you guys think of the Højlund move?
I don't know about that one. I've only seen a little bit of him, it must be said, and he's exciting, but
He seems like a character, though. He seems like a character.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem like the right type of player to fit the system you play. He's more of a behind the striker kind of striker, isn't he? So.
Yeah, I think they once was line Haaland and got Højlund. I think that's the reason he went for it. His name sounds similar. I think that was
I don't think Haaland actually would work ideally in a Ten Hag system either. Just like he doesn't actually work in a Guardiola system. He scores goals, but overall he isn't an ideal fit for Guardiola. I don't think he's an ideal fit for Ten Hag either.
No.
Because all of Ten Hag's teams that we know of have had Haller twice at Utrecht and Ajax, and Tadic as focal points in the attack. He seems like my little knowledge of Ten Hag suggests that he's more inclined towards Firmino than Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, which Højlund is closer to.
Yeah, that's a bit of an issue. Because if he gets... I've only watched highlights, and when he gets his afterburners on, he can just bulldoze past players with pace and power.
Do you think you'll sign anyone else, Seamus? Do you think we're going to be any more in the pipeline for United?
I think if we can get the outgoings done in time, then at least 2 more players, the centre back and the centre mid, is almost certain.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'd expect more signings as well for United. I don't think they're done yet.
Yeah, because as things stand, our squad looks just in terms of numbers, it looks decent, healthy number. But if we are to lose Maguire, we're gonna need a replacement because we would only
Yeah.
have three centre backs, and one of them is an injury-prone Varane. If we were to lose Fred, McTominay, and Van de Beek, then it only leaves us with Eriksen on the bench. So we lack numbers if we move any players from the squad, which also kind of shows why we struggled last season because we've added three players, and I'm still here talking about needing to add players if we sold anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have got a bit of a threadbare squad nowadays, which is something you never used to have in the past.
But I think that kind of stems from the club's overall. I don't know if it's the club's approach or what, but in the past few years we've refrained from giving young academy players too many chances. Because I don't think if we were to sell Van der Beek and Fred or one of Fred and McTominay and Van der Beek, I wouldn't personally think we need another centre mid. We can try Mino and Mejbri, but we won't.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do think you do need to get more of the youth team players coming through, playing.
I don't know whether it shows the lack of quality being produced from the academy, or the lack of trust, maybe just the club being more sponsor and business oriented instead of football oriented. But there seems to be a general reluctance to us giving an academy guy a chance.
Yeah. How about Olanga? Glad to see him go.
I think it was time for him to move on. I think he's gonna make a decent career of himself, but I would be surprised if he becomes a proper player in a league winning or team
Yeah.
that hopes aspires to win leagues in England and Spain and those top leagues.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a trier, but there are levels, sadly.
That's fair enough, yeah.
You can have the best.
Right, who finished fourth? Newcastle?
Yeah, Newcastle were next.
Yeah.
Before we get to Newcastle, what are your guys' expectations?
Oh yeah, we haven't said where we
United.
put yeah. So you've said you think you think they'll win.
We're gonna win the. I think we're gonna win the treble because I'm a supporter.
I think you're going to finish fourth, maybe fifth. I think it's a toss-up between fourth and fifth. Where you finish, to be honest with you, United. I don't see them challenging City or even maybe Arsenal. I don't expect them to be in the top two. And I think third is going to be a push for them. For me, it's fourth, maybe fifth for United.
I'll be interested to see who your third team is gonna be, Billy.
Top four,
Okay.
for United as well.
I think if I'm not being completely biased, there's obviously gonna be some bias. I think I'll be kind of miffed if we were to finish behind Arsenal again.
Right, okay.
They've got they've just spent so much money. They can't afford not to finish above you. I think that's how I'd see it. God, you're a heavy breather, Seamus.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it's not me breathing; it's the fan.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It's funny how it only started when we were talking about Man United and you got all excited though.
All asthmatic. You got on all asthmatic.
We'll move on to Newcastle anyway before we.
Go on, man.
Do you know what? Their recruitment's been odd again. I can see the thinking behind Barnes. I can see the thinking behind Tonali. Looks a good player. great to allow Guimaraes to have more freedom, but Livramento's can't stay fit. I don't understand what they were thinking of buying him. Somebody needs to explain that one to me. I haven't got a clue about Minty.
Oh, you've not got a clue. That's a surprise.
Ooh. Oh, you're so catty these days. I tell you what, since Rob stopped coming on, you've got really catty. The pain in your heart must be really getting to you. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're both pretty decent players, and I know you're not a big fan, but I think they've done all right. Not as well as I thought they'd do, to be honest with you, with the owners they've got. I thought they might have done a bit more quality than what they have actually done, but, you know, they have strengthened, and they done well last year, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be up there again, but maybe not Champions League.
They might have a problem because they're competing in Champions League as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
you beat me to it, Chris. I was gonna say there is that reason.
Yeah.
Their squad isn't equipped enough and isn't experienced enough to be dealing with 4 competitions now.
Yeah.
That's what's going to cause them problems.
Mm.
And maybe Eddie Howe is gonna prove Chris right by not being as good as everyone believes him to be.
But he done nothing from last year, Eddie Howe, did he? You know, you've got to give him credit for what he done last year. Everyone was thinking he was going to fall and fail at Newcastle, and they ended up having a fantastic season for Newcastle United. And I thought he'd done really well, and, you know, kudos to the guy. He held himself well. He was good in interviews. He had the side playing for him, and I think he done really well. And I'm not expecting miracles, but I think he'll do well again this year.
I've got a question. How well did he actually do? Or, you know, was it how well he did, or was it that so many other clubs had such a disaster? You had no Spurs in the conversation, Chase. You had no Chelsea to worry about. Liverpool were miles off it as well. So silly days, you three
We were
your
struggling
usual
in
top 4
parts.
challenge. And United were really having a disaster. City was struggling as well, weren't at their best for the first part of the season. So did Newcastle do particularly well, or were they just like Leicester when they won the league? Were they just happened to be in the right place at the right time? This is what we'll find out. This is what we'll find out this season, I think, is how good they actually are.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying, but you can only do and beat what's in front of you. And they done that, and their goal was obviously to, you know, well, they did because they finished in the Champions League places.
Yeah,
that was a low expectation for me.
But the only team that actually gave, you know, they were actually competing with was Man United, and they finished behind them.
Well, no, you're going on the premise that Liverpool never done enough. Tottenham and Chelsea never done enough, but that's not Newcastle's problem. It's up to them to do enough. I don't think you can say that other teams fail and help them.
Well, they did, because clearly, if you look at where they came, they were third and they were they were clear of United and should have finished above them, and they let them go past them because they bottled it towards the end, like Arsenal did to let City in.
It maybe bottled it a bit harsh for me. And they got caught. Yeah, they got caught because United had a great run, and they finished above them. But you know, for what was the expectation must have been at the start of the season, which was to be get a European place, I'd say, and then to finish in Champions. I think they've punched above the weight a bit. Yeah, it might have been down to other clubs not playing well, but you can only, as I say, beat what's in front of you. And Newcastle done that, and to finish Champions League with, you know, what they've done in the last few years, I thought they had an excellent season.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with they've done well. But I'm just saying, how much of that, we're not actually. I'm not convinced they're that good yet. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not convinced that they're signing. Like I said, I can see the Tonali one. A very good signing. Looks like he looked really good for Milan. Frees up Guimaraes. Looks a good signing, but Barnes, does he take them on a level? I don't see it. I don't really particularly rate him. He works hard, but he doesn't do a lot. He's not very good. He's not skillful. He's not quite quick, but he's not ridiculous. He's not blisteringly quick. He's not. He's not going to beat a man for skill. He doesn't really offer much, Harvey Barnes, other than a little bit of hard work, which should be the minimum of any player. Livramento,
Yeah,
like
I think he's got a bit more about him than what you're saying, Tris. I think he's got. Yeah, I think Barnes has.
What?
I think he's a grafter. I think he's always going to get. I think he'll be a regular in that side. To be honest with you.
But you've just said all you can say when I said what does he offer was he's a grafter. Well, I said that. I said he works hard. Yeah. That should be a bare minimum.
No, he has got a modicum of skill as well. He can score goals. He scores goals. Yeah, he scores goals. And I think he's going to be a good player for them. I think that's what they were lacking, someone from midfield to come and score goals. And I think he'll be a bit of a plus for them. Yeah, I really do.
I think that's what they were lacking, and not a decent defence and a decent striker to score goals.
Well, yeah, but they got along. They got on with it, and they've got some really good players. Guimaraes is a marvellous player for me, and a big fan of the Brazilian lad as well. Really good, and I think they've got quite a few good players. And I think they're going to be on the fringes of the Champions League again. Maybe not get there, maybe 4th or 5th, maybe even 6th. But I still think they're going to challenge for the top honours. Maybe a cup as well.
I mean, I agree he scores goals, but that's the way they were playing, the way he was playing at Leicester is why he scores goals, rather than I think he's particularly a good goal scorer is how I'd look at it. He was played as more like a left, like he was playing a similar role to the Sadio Mane role, where he's expected to cut in and
and I can see that, but I think that'll suit Newcastle myself this season. I think he'll do okay. I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater because I don't think he's that type of player, but I think he'll offer them something, and I think he'll do well for them, and I think he'll be a regular. People are saying that he mightn't be a regular, but I think he'll be a regular in that sense.
Who would he not be? How would he not be a regular? They haven't got any wingers. That's the point. They lost Sam Maximum, and they don't really have any. Their squad's very weak. If you ask me, I don't see.
No, I think you're forgetting a certain ex-Evertonian.
Anthony Gordon, yeah, but that's my point. Because they got that's any good. Exactly my point. If that's the only option they've got up against him, I just.
Honestly, he seems to have been lost in the shuffle. Actually.
Who, Anthony Gordon?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have the best of seasons though last time out, did he? Because of the messing around and the injuries, and that's how it's a bit hard to judge him, really.
He done really good at the under 21s World Cup, didn't he? He played really well on
played as a striker.
Euros. Euros, anyways.
Yeah, he played as a striker.
The Euros, and he had a really good tournament, and if he can transfer that to his Newcastle form, he might end up being a decent signing for them.
But they were playing a very similar system to more of a Moyes type system, where they sit back and defend and then hit it over the top to a player in the shape of Gordon who was quick, and that's why he had a good tournament, because they just basically hit the ball over the top for him to run onto time and time again.
Yeah. He's got energy though. He's got energy.
Vardy is what I was trying to think of. The one I was trying to think of to compare him with. He was playing a kind of Vardy role at Leicester City when they won the league.
Yeah.
So that system was what they were playing. They weren't playing up. It wasn't like they were playing the way Newcastle will have to most of the season. They're not going to be up against teams that push them back most of the season now.
No,
Most
I
of the
can see that.
season, they're going to be pushing forward. You know what I mean? They're going to be on the front foot, and they've got to buy. They need players who can play that kind of role, which is another reason why I'm not convinced that Harvey Barnes suits it. He's another one for the quick break team. I'm not convinced he's all that good at a team that dominates possession. He just isn't good enough on the ball for that.
Where do you think they'll finish, Trace? Newcastle, where do you expect them to finish?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I still think they'll do all right. I don't think they'll be that far off it, but I think that I think the problem is you can't tell how Liverpool will do. I haven't got a fucking clue how Liverpool will do, so it's impossible to judge. Chelsea could be anywhere from 1st to 24th the way they're going, and I mean literally 24th because because they've got the possibility of punishment for that infringement that they've pointed out to the FA. I really don't know. They'll be challenging for the top 4, but I think they'll miss out. I think they'll probably be 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I think they'll sacrifice cup games, FA Cup, League Cup.
Yeah.
I think they'll put kids out because they've got the European one, and I think that'll be the goal this year, is to put kids out or fringe players into their cups, so as they're only really going to be interested in finishing high in the league and the European exploits, unless they get knocked out of that early. We don't know yet.
Yeah, that could change everything. If they're out of that early, that makes a huge difference to them, and it's really it comes down to how they get on in Europe, I think. Next season, remember though, top 5 have got a good chance of getting into the Champions League, haven't they?
Yeah.
It could be the top 5 in there, so even if they finish 5th, they could still re-qualify for the Champions League. So
I think they've got a decent chance getting there.
I can't see them finishing any lower than 6th, no matter. I think they're bare minimum top 6, but it does come down, like I said, it does come down to how the other teams that had a bad season last season perform, I think, rather than how they perform, because I just don't think they've got the strength and depth to take them on head on yet.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that.
I mean, you look at their squad, it's not the strongest. Still lacking
quality
throughout the team, especially in defence. Yeah. I mean, that defence is...
I'm a big fan of Joe Linton now. I think he's a quality player. And I didn't care for him when he first come. But since he's dropped a bit deeper, he started off as a centre forward, and now he's dropped a bit deeper, like an attacking midfield, then number 10 or whatever he's playing. I think he was marvellous last year, Joe Linton. Full of energy and really good player.
Okay, he's been a revelation in that role. The problem, I mean, you look at their attack. They've got Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson is their only real quality attacking threat. I know you're going to say Anthony Gordon, and Harvey Barnes.
No, I'm not going to say Anthony Gordon.
I'm not convinced either of them are top class for this kind of, a Champions League level. So I think they still need to invest heavily in their squad. They still need to improve that defence, because while they've got Botman decent, he's not quite got the pace to really play a high line, so they're limited. And their fullbacks need improvement as well, and they've got no one to partner Botman, because that Lascelles is awful.
But he doesn't play.
Yeah,
Lascelles doesn't play. It's Fabian Schär that usually starts with him.
Yeah, but he's another one that.
But I agree. They can't rely on Dan Burn to be their first choice left back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem.
They do need still to invest in the squad, and the goalkeeper simply isn't good enough, Pope. No,
I'm not a big Pope fan. Terrible with his feet. He's a shot stopper. He's a
Chris, note the time. We have to cut that out. Billy isn't a big fan of.
Big fan of the Pope, yeah. Oh Christ, that's it. Now the Catholics are going to be all after you, mate. I tell you, we're in trouble now. So you're a Protestant then, are you, Bill?
No way. Good Catholic also bored me, mate, to tell you.
Oh, it's all right, Bill. You've said it now. You're not a fan
Yeah,
of the
that's-
Pope. We've heard it now. We're going to use... I'll wait till Sick hears that. He'll be upset.
Where do you think Newcastle are going to finish?
I don't think there's a world where there is a real chance where Newcastle finish fourth. I think the best Newcastle can hope for realistically is a Europa League place, and I think if I was forced to pick a number, I think Newcastle are gonna finish eighth.
Eighth?
Eight?
Yeah, eighth.
Really?
Yeah, outside of the European competitions.
Okay,
Because
that's a good shout.
because I don't think their squad is ready to. Like I said, I don't think their squad is ready to compete in 4 competitions. And unlike you guys, I think Newcastle would really love to get the monkey off their back and win any kind of trophy.
Mm.
Look how emotional they were when they got to the Carabao Cup final.
Yeah,
I think
they really
that is gonna be a bit of a and I wouldn't
Monkey
call
on
it
the
an
back,
issue,
yeah.
but I wouldn't call it an issue, but I think it's going to be one of their intentions to try and win any sort of trophy. So it wouldn't be received well by if they were like flunking it in the cups and throwing games away.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. They do need a trophy because it's been a long time. Have they only got like 2 trophies in their entire history, haven't they? Yeah. So they really do need something. I mean, it'd be huge for getting the fans behind the team as well.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Really was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good luck to them.
So
I think
what
they
do you
play
think,
next
Bill?
football.
You never
What,
said.
mate?
Where do you think they'll finish?
I think 5th or 6th.
Right.
I think they're going to be on the verge of Champions League, but maybe not good enough to actually make it this year.
So next up, it's
It's
Liverpool,
who?
is it?
how shy. Right. Do I go on a rant about how they're playing?
You have your rants, Chris. You have your rants.
Billy, you go get your cup of tea. I'm
I was
gonna
gonna say,
go do some
if I
work.
get started, you might want to get yourself comfortable. 'Cause it's good.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna count you in Tristan. We're gonna go do our own thing. Then we're gonna come back.
Get the candle
Okay,
on.
3, 2, 1. Let it go.
Right, I fucking hate the way we're playing. I really can't stand it. There's no width whatsoever, absolutely none. The way the fullbacks come inside just leaves huge gaping holes down the right, particularly. It doesn't work. Why they let Ramsey go out on loan as well, which is really bizarre. Because the only way to possibly make this work would be to move Trent into midfield, play Bradley and Ramsey to fight out for right back, with Gomez as the backup, because he's not a first choice right back. God, I heard myself speak then, that confused me. Yeah. There's just so much wrong with the system. It is so narrow. You've got Salah's out when he's out wide, receives the ball. He's isolated constantly because nobody's getting out there to offer him an option. That means he's not dragging defenders away because there's no need for them to worry. If he's out on the corner of the right side corner of the pitch, the defenders can just stay in their positions. They don't need to get dragged out to cover him because there's nobody offering an option for him to do anything with the ball. There's nobody making an overlap unless Núñez plays. And for some reason, Klopp seems to prefer people like Jota, who couldn't pass water, let alone bloody pass a ball. And it's just just watching the pre-season, it's just been awful. The only bright spot for me has been Van Dijk. Looks like he's coming back into being Van Dijk again. He did look like himself again. But other than that, it was just a disaster. I mean, scored goals, yeah, always looked dangerous going forward, but Klopp keeps picking Jota, and I just do not understand why. He does not.
Can you understand why they haven't invested in another centre half, Chris? Which everyone thought they were going to. Not just as cover for Van Dijk, but maybe to partner Van Dijk.
It should have been Guardiola. Liverpool should have gone all in for Guardiola. I do not understand why that wasn't done. He was pretty much begging for Liverpool to come and sign him. He kept every interview. He was talking about how he went and watched Liverpool and how he would love to play for Liverpool. He made multiple interviews in the summer talking about that, and yet Liverpool made no attempt to sign him, and it makes no sense to me. But desperately needed someone, especially a left-sided one. If they're going to make this system work, you have to have a left-sided centre-back instead of Robertson there. Or, someone who can swap between left-back and left centre-back, like a Guardiola, or I can't think of many others. I mean, there's Van der Ven that's gone to Spurs.
Yeah.
I'm kind of running out now. I can't really think of many others off the top of my head. I'm sure there is others, but I just can't think of any off the top of my head. Yeah, Ignacio at
Ignacio at Sporting.
Sporting, yeah, that's the other one.
I actually like the very little I saw of Castello Luqueba, the guy Magic signed as a replacement for Guardiola.
Yeah, I haven't seen him play, so I can't really judge him. I mean, you look at the actual signings of Szoboszlai and McAllister, and you think, good signings. It's
good start. Yeah, good start.
It's a really good feeling for for the team. Like these kind of signings, it looks like the team's moving forward. But the defense is still the defense is, and not only is it not playing well, but he's playing a system that exposes all its weaknesses. It's almost like he's playing to its weaknesses rather than playing to its strengths. It's really frustrating.
Defensive midfielders adapt in that scenario.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the first couple of pre-season games, for the first half, Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing a defensive midfield role. And if you watch, he was the reason why there was no exposure to balls over the top from midfielders running on, because he was reading it and covering them. He was constantly, covering and tracking the runner back. The moment he wasn't playing there and he put back to right back for the rest of the games because Bradley got injured, Liverpool looked a mess again defensively. There's desperate need for a proper defensive midfielder to sit in there.
What's your view on Lavia? Do you think, I know it seems to have dragged on for a long, long time. Do you think a player like him who's a 19-year-old, do you think you've got better there already than paying 50 million for Southampton's 19-year-old who's played one season in the Premier League? Do you think 50 million? I would have walked away a long time myself before it's got to this stage now where they seem to be banking on and making offers up and by a small amount each time. Either go for him or leave him alone. Personally, I'd have left him alone. I think Bajcetic is as good as him. He's the same age as him, and I think he could be your man to do that job. But that's just me.
But he's coming back off a long-term injury. He's only played 4 or 5 games in the Premier League, so he's got a lot less experience. Yeah, I don't know.
It's a long way to lay out on a 19-year-old, though. An unproven 19-year-old.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the money, you'd say, bring in Lavia all day, but it's a tough one because the market's so insane this summer. I mean, we've received 40 million for Fabinho, and another 10 million for Jordan Henderson. So that covers the fee. I know it doesn't because you've lost other stuff around it as well. You don't actually get 50 million in the coffers, so to speak. So it doesn't, but you're not paying out 50 million straight away either. And we need a defensive midfielder. If he's the one that they think is the best option, then they should just go and buy him. Yeah, pay the 50 million if that's how much it takes, because you need one. I don't think we could. I like Bajcetic, but I don't think that's his role. He is. I see personally. I would have kept Ramsey back, and I'd play Trent Alexander-Arnold straight away, just in that midfield holding role. I thought he was excellent when he played there the first couple of games. Really looked like that was his role. He had the range of passing to be a danger from back there. He was still causing havoc, of his balls in the. I mean, they're pinpoint. He can hit the ball 60, 70 yards. It's reminiscent of watching Xabi Alonso when he used to play there, but with mobility. For me, that's the answer. That's what's missing in the midfield is Trent Alexander-Arnold sitting behind Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai. Though I do have my fears over Szoboszlai early on because I think he's trying far too hard. When you watch him, he's grabbing and pulling and throwing himself in, and when he's hitting shots, he's tense and he's not hitting them correctly because he's too tense. And I can see him picking up quite a lot of cards, maybe a red card or two before he gets over it, unless Klopp can. Maybe he might have to hold him back a bit and play somebody else there for a while. You know what I mean? Bring him on later. Maybe Jones. Someone. Jones is playing well. It's only because he's carrying a knock that he didn't play against Darmstadt. Start against Darmstadt. So yeah, for me, I think the answer is that Alexander-Arnold's not a right back in this system. It just doesn't work anyway. Play a proper right back. Put somebody in, put a holding midfielder in. Let Robertson go again, because you're just wasting him at the moment and playing him as a left-sided centre back. It's awful. Just doesn't suit him. When he does get forward, he's the only threat down the left as well for long periods of time. That's the other thing I don't get is why Diaz has been held back so much in pre-season. If he doesn't start, if he picks anyone over, if it's not Diaz, Nunez or Gakpo, it's got Hakpo, and Salah. That's the four it's got to be between. If Jota's anywhere near it, we're in trouble because he's simply not good enough. He can't pass the ball well enough. He can't link up play well enough. I mean, he loses the ball almost every time he gets it. Yeah, he scores goals and he's brilliant at that, and so you don't want to lose him as a player, but you also don't want him on. You don't want him starting games. He's definitely an impact sub and a play against the lesser teams, maybe. In the cups and that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
he's just not good enough. But yeah, the key is there definitely is a missing link there for a defensive midfielder, which if it's Love they think is the answer, they should have just gone and got him. And 50 million isn't far apart from where. I mean, it isn't like it was a long way apart. It isn't like they were saying, well, we only think he's worth 20 million, and they're saying 50 million. There was only a couple of million between the
yeah.
That's why it just seems a bit ludicrous. When it's that little, you just think you might as well just freaking pay it and get what you need. Get what you need over what over messing about at that point. And I know it's a lot of money, but you've saved a lot on getting a McAllister so cheap.
Yeah.
So, and if they think Bajcetic is the answer, then make that clear instead. Then, and it's beyond. But
Yeah.
I just think when you look at, I don't know, he's got too much about him to be playing that deep. I think he needs to be playing a more forward midfield role, which is the problem Liverpool have got. Is they've got lots of midfielders still. They never had a shortage of midfield, but they're just none of them, other than Fabinho last season, was a defensive midfielder. And now sold Fabinho, so you've not actually got a defensive midfielder at the club unless Trent Alexander-Arnold sits in there, and that. For me, that's the answer. Is you want him in midfield, put him in fucking midfield. and stop with this trying to overload the centre of midfield and play some bloody width. Because that's what's seriously lacking in this team. There's no option, and there's no opening in the middle because there's no space because everybody's in the middle from both sides. They don't need to they don't need to get dragged out wide and chase after like Salah if he goes out wide because there's no one for him to pass to.
Do you think Diaz and Nunez can play on the same side? Or is it either or?
Nunez and who?
Nunez and Diaz.
Oh yeah, those two, fine, yeah. And Nunez and Salah have been brilliant together in this pre-season. That's when Salah looked at his best when Nunez was on the pitch. They linked up brilliantly. So it's been a bit strange that he's, the last couple of games he decided to put Jota in over Nunez. I don't know what Klopp's got against Nunez. I really don't. He's been excellent, and then he's not getting, he's not being picked. I don't really get it. I really don't get what Jota's got over Klopp either. Well, I'm really worried about our season. This is why I think I can't judge how we'll do because it's impossible to say. We could win every game 5-4, or we could lose them 6-0 just as easily. It's reminiscent of the Brendan Rodgers days. When with the SAS up front, we got a brilliant attack. But everything else is a mess. Yeah, everything else is an absolute mess, and that's really not a Klopp way of doing things. I don't know what's going on. Why he's allowed it to go like this.
Where do you think they'll finish this? At this present moment in time, where they haven't got a left-sided centre-back and they haven't got a defensive midfielder, if they don't improve them two, where do you see Liverpool finish?
If they stick with this system, say you'll be fighting for top 8. It could be anywhere from 3rd to 8th if stick with this system, because like I said, it's so inconsistent. You can get results all the team needs to do is, it's like the press. The press is there, they're pressing again, but it's too easy to break because all you got to do is kick it into the corner. And there's no defenders there because they're all narrow. There's no midfielders there because they're all narrow. So as long as you just station a player on the opposite flank from where the player is all the time, you just keep one player out wide, you've got an outball constantly. There's no way the press can work because you just, as soon as you get it pressed, you just kick it to the corner, opposite corner. That's all you do. And that's a real problem. And so you cannot call how they're going to get on. I really don't know what to do. I really don't. And if he doesn't start picking Nunez as well, I mean, I get if Hakpo's playing, you play him up front, I can understand him picking Hakpo over him, but how Jota gets in the team over Nunez, I really do not get. Nunez has been exceptional in the pre-season, and yet he's not getting. The end of the last couple of games, he's out of the side. I do not understand what it is he's got against him.
Seamus, where do you think they'll finish the Reds?
As things stand, it's the defensive setup is still a concern. So, like Chris said, I think they might squeeze into the top 4, like backdoor it, but 5th and a Europa League victory is what I see for Liverpool. And yes, that is my way of shoehorning in the fact that Liverpool are in Europa League. Whoa!
Oh, you're such a little bitch at the moment. Oh, you're so catty. What's wrong with you? Rob, come back.
Well, you asked me before where who's going to be your third team.
Oh.
Hello?
Was that you, Will?
I don't think so.
Alright, anyway, yeah, it's gone now. Stop now. Stop.
Oh, right, okay. You asked me before, Deeps, where I think who'd finish third. My tip is Liverpool to finish third.
But Europa League?
No, I think they'll do a lot better than what people are expecting.
Without a number 6?
Without a number 6, yeah, I think they'll play Trent then. I really do think they'll play Trent.
I hope
so. And there's no right back. like we said.
Well, they've still got
I think
Bradley and
I think
Gomez.
I think they might bring in a right back, or they might or put Gomez there. But I think Liverpool will do better than what the fans are expecting at the moment. They're panicking a bit, but I think they will do a lot better. I think, as Trish was saying before, Van Dijk is getting back to his best, and uh, I think Liverpool's problems aren't as much as what people are making out. I think they're going to have a decent season, a really good season, and I expect them to finish third. I really do, and I'm not just saying that. I think they've got a good chance of being right up there. Don't think they'll win the league, but I think they'll be up there with Arsenal, maybe Man United, maybe Newcastle, in them spots. I think they're going to finish at least fifth, possibly third. That's my prediction, anyway.
Interesting. Right, should we move on to sixth then? And
Yeah.
that was
Brighton.
Brighton, yeah. I had to check that myself because I couldn't remember. I had to look it up. I mean, that's really bad.
I think things are going to come home to roost for Brighton this year. I think they had a really good season last year. I'm not expecting it this year. I think they're going to be found out with the loss of McAllister, which is massive, I believe. I think Caicedo might end up going. And they lost the keeper, haven't they, as well?
No, he was third choice.
Yeah, he'd been dropped, so.
Yeah.
Listen, Bill. Our Rob didn't rate that Rob.
No, he didn't think he was any good. I've got to be honest, I was with him on that. I'm not convinced he was that. He was good at the way they played. Good for the way they played rather than good. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But I think they're going to get found out a bit this year. I think people know how good a side they can be. I think the manager's a bit of a hothead as well. I think he's decent, you know what I mean? But he's not Potter for me. And I don't think he's as good as Zerbi. But I think they're going to get found out a little bit this year. And I don't think they're going to... I think they'll still finish top half. But I'm not expecting them to finish as high as they did last season.
I think it's gonna be a mid-table season for them because, like it was with Liverpool, it's again whoa for Brighton as well. They've got to juggle Europa League, and they don't. For all the quality we rave of them, but they don't have the quantity. And again, it's Thursday night football, Sunday night football. It's taken a toll on many teams before, and it's gonna take a toll on many teams again.
Yeah, the Thursday night tends to make it very difficult for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand. I think it's more to do with the distance you travel. Because I don't understand how Wednesday, Saturday is fine, but Thursday, Sunday is a pain.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's so difficult, but it does seem to affect teams. They always seem to struggle when they're playing the Thursday, Sunday. They have had a good... I do think Milner will help, as in, like... No, they've
done well. They've done well with what they've been handed, but still, it's a bit of a problem because they don't have the experience of juggling European football with Premier League football, and like it was the case with Newcastle, the expectations are going to be much higher.
Yeah.
The pressure and burden of expectation is going to be different as well.
But that's why I think the signing of Milner is a big help, because he has got experience of what they're going to be facing. I think that'll make. But I think their manager's going to get found out. To be honest, I don't think he's as good as people thought. I don't think he improved them over the way Potter has been playing. He speaks too much in the media, talks about players too much. He's going to upset more and more players, which is, something you don't want. I think they're going to hit the buffers a bit this season. I think they're going to take a step back, mid-table, but then they can bring in somebody new and go again, can't they?
Yeah. But as it stands, I'm looking 8th, 9th, maybe 10th
Yeah.
for Brad.
I'm thinking more of a Fulham kind of season from last season for them. Not trouble
Right.
with relegation, but never actually threatening any European qualification either.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I'm agreed with that. That's how I'd see it as well. Yeah, I fully agree. I think the key is they've still got a goal. They've got to keep him fit. Their goal scorer, what's his face, the kid.
Evan Ferguson.
Yeah,
looks a good kid, and Danny.
He's very good.
I'm surprised someone hasn't come in for him, to be honest with you. One of the big old boys.
Oh, because he's not going to move. Because he signed a new contract in April.
Yeah, he made it clear he was happy to stay for at least one more season to see play fair in Europe.
Contracts don't mean much these days, don't you? When he signed a new contract and all.
He was very, very vocal about the fact that he wanted to stay and go, have a go in Europe with Brighton. That he's too young. He's not ready to move yet. He's, this was his first full season in proper,
Fair play to him, man. Fair play to him. Who said that? Yeah, I like that. I like to see a bit of loyalty. And
also, Billy, if you think contracts mean nothing, then tell that to Moises Caicedo. His new contract is gonna. It looks like his new contract is gonna be the reason he's not gonna get his move.
Yeah.
Do you think that's not gonna be? Do you not think that's gonna?
I don't really like the players, to be honest with you, Moises Caicedo. I'd avoid him like a player if it was a manager. I don't think he's worth anywhere near 100 million what they're asking, and I think he's got issues. I think he comes with too much baggage, and I wouldn't be wanting my team to sign him. Obviously I'd want him to sign him because he can play football, but I think he's a bit of a handful, a bit of trouble. Possible trouble to a side who's going after him.
But wouldn't that be a bit disruptive as well with the whole dressing room atmosphere?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, there's definitely trouble there, isn't there? Coming if they don't.
And they can't bring in a replacement until the move is sorted, can they? Realistically.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Yeah, I think
Liverpool were with them, weren't they? But it never came off. I don't think he's a Klopp type person, to be honest with you. I don't really like baggage on players, Klopp.
But
that's why Liverpool dropped it.
But one of the most successful players for Klopp was Sadio Mane, and he had
a lot of baggage.
Yeah, a lot of baggage, and in a way, a lot of similar kind of baggage as well. It was never the ability; it was him forcing his way out of clubs and those kind of.
Yeah, he went on strike twice before moving to Southampton. First, to get a move to Salzburg? Yeah, to get to Salzburg. Then to get from Salzburg to Southampton, and then he went on strike at Southampton to get a move to Man United. That didn't happen, and then he went on strike again to get a move to Liverpool, which did happen. And then at Liverpool, he was threatening to damn tools, which is why they sold him to Bayern in the first. Why he was Klopp was so happy to get rid of him, basically, because he threatened to damn tools and wasn't going to try. Was basically threatening to go on strike again. It's a common theme with Sadio Mane. It was what I was worried about when we were in for him. I said, it turned out it didn't matter because we had all those years out of him. He was fantastic, but it was a great player. Van Dijk as well. I mean, he basically told Southampton that he only wanted to go to Liverpool, and after he was tapped up by Klopp, admittedly, but even so, he basically told them he wanted them to make the move happen, which is the reason why it happened. That Liverpool just had to pay a premium to stop them complaining to the FA about the tapping up, and that was why it was done, is because he threatened to go. He basically forced his way out. I mean, to Klopp is happy to have players like that if he thinks it's because they want to play for Liverpool that they're doing it. The thing with is
if he thinks they want to play under him. It's not for Liverpool, it's play under Klopp.
Yeah, or play under Klopp, whichever. It doesn't matter. It's he wants them to play in his team, so to speak. The thing is with Caicedo is he's being very vocal that he wants to move to Real Madrid, and that's his dream, and that's what he's looking for. So
And 6 months ago, it was actually Arsenal. That's the
Yeah.
issue.
I was
His
gonna
dreams
say
keep
that.
on changing. He's what likes to call flaky.
Yeah, he's the kind of player that you just think, yeah, no, I'll give him a miss. I think I don't understand the 100 million fee.
No, I don't.
He's a good player,
Yeah.
but he's not a great player.
He's the kind of player. If he was starting in midfield for Man United, I'd be happy. But
Hmm.
right now, I'm not clamoring for his signature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, if he was in that Liverpool midfield, he'd be fine. But I wouldn't want to go, but at 100 million.
But
no.
you don't want to go out. Yeah, you don't want to go out of way to get him in.
No, you would. He's not. I mean, he couldn't even keep a place in the Brighton midfield last season. He was ending up on the right most of the time, wasn't he? Playing at right wing back for a lot.
Yeah, there was a chunk of the season when he was basically the right back. That is how he ended up injuring Martinelli,
Yeah.
giving him a receipt, but still he ended up injuring him.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to. Was that because he was the only one willing to play there, or was that because he just wasn't good? Wasn't playing well enough to keep his place? That's the question you'd have to ask yourself and have a good look at when you. But if you're spending 100 million on a player, you don't. Want
I actually think it was because him playing at right back and Pascal Gross was it who came in for him, or whoever else it was. That was a better fit for the team. I don't think it was his qualities not being good enough for midfield, but still, like you said, it's 100 million for another player who basically has had one great season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to say you can't say he's had a good season in midfield last season when he's only played out a part of the season there. He's been shunted around and that. Yeah, I don't see.
Yeah, I don't worry them like the players.
Especially
Yeah.
with his keeps saying about different clubs he wants to play for and that. He's got to be a player you got to be looking at and saying I'm not so sure about. Not at
Yeah,
not
give
at
that a
kind of
miss.
price.
I actually think he's 100 million level player, but not quite now.
Yeah, potentially. Potentially, yeah. He's potentially as good as Declan Rice or anyone else out there, but right now, no. You've got to say right now he's in the void. And he's... Yeah, he's a worry. And I think that's the problem they've got, is they've got a manager who's got there on the back of somebody else's work and has now got to do it himself, and it's...
Yeah.
Opens his mouth too much, upsets players too much, and there's players who want out who aren't looking like they're going to get out. That's going to cause them problems. And yeah, mid-table. I think mid-table mediocrity is where they're looking at next season.
Who's next, Chris?
Next up is Aston Villa with
Aston
7.
Villa.
Yeah,
We haven't got to Tottenham yet.
haven't got to who? Tottenham, yeah.
Tottenham.
Or Chelsea.
Yeah, because they don't have because they've no European footy.
Tottenham and Chelsea though finishing so low down. It was such a busy last season.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go with Aston Villa. I thought they had a terrific season last year. I think they done really well. The manager done really well as well when he come in, and I think they've got a few really good players there. And I know it might have looked on the face of it they overachieved, but I think they're going to have another good season this season.
They've got plenty of money, their owners. The only issue they've got, they're hamstrung by FFP from spending, and they have an issue persuading top quality players to join them. Otherwise, they'd have spent a lot more by now. So.
Yeah, they're a decent outfit, aren't they? They're going to take a lot of points off people, and they're going to be Europa for me. They're going to get in the Europa spots again this year, and I like the look of them.
I think they're going to be disappointed by Tielemans, though.
Yeah, he was a strange one for me. never been his biggest fan. But they must see something in him. Because,
Well,
you know, you,
Price,
come
yeah,
on.
Well,
it's free.
it's free,
Yeah.
and also they again have European football to consider, and I think they're gonna get Europa League football, like Billy said, but it's gonna be from winning Conference League actually.
All right.
They for now they're the team that's gonna win the Conference League, if you ask me,
Okay.
It's very hard
because
to
I
judge
think
these
no,
competitions.
I think Villa are gonna have a Brighton-esque season, like what we're predicting, somewhere around 9 to 12, and then they
Well, it
can,
could get higher than
yeah.
that.
No, I think then they can start really focusing on Europa Conference League, and Emery already has a very good reputation as well as experience in winning those competitions.
Yeah,
I think there's
Yeah.
gonna come a point in the season when they're gonna be looking at European football from the outside and probably gonna be in the league footy and concentrate on Conference League.
I can understand that because he is very much suited to European football. The way his teams play suits that
And,
much
Yeah.
and
better than league
I know
football.
Billy, it's a cliche thing, but you'd expect all of the top six teams to realistically at least finish above Aston Villa, because I think four of the top six teams are better than them, and two teams don't have European football to consider. And Newcastle are, at least on paper, a better outlet than Aston Villa. That's my rationale.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. But there's always someone who overachieves, and I think that could be Villa this year, who, you know, they done well last year, especially the back end of last year. And I think they've got as good a chance as anyone of getting top 6 or 7. I think they've got the basis of a really good side there.
They
And the
have
hard working. Yeah, for me, they do anyway.
hard working's why Tielemans will be a disappointment to them, I think, because he isn't hard working.
Is a
But,
lazy sort,
yeah.
yeah, I think it is.
No, I
what they
think some
miss is a
players are
striker.
like I think some players are hardworking and some players are hardly working.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
he definitely comes in that latter category. But they
Yeah.
miss they need a striker. That's what they need.
Do you know what I
Oh,
like?
but
Their
come on.
centre forward. I like
But
him.
Watkins, yeah,
Watkins was the second
I like him.
best striker
I think he's a decent player.
yeah, but he's one player.
in terms of goals. In terms of goals scored, Watkins was the second best player
Mhm.
in the league after
Haaland.
Unai Emery took over.
Yeah, he was excellent for the under Emery, but he's their only goal scorer. Is what I mean. Their only real goal threat. Is Diaby going to add enough goals? Tielemans, maybe. I don't know, but like I would say, they still need another goal scorer. You know, somebody to add more goals to the team. I think that's what they're looking.
The guy, what's his name, Cameron Archer. He had a very good loan spell, but
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, but they've been
Yeah.
trying to get rid of him, haven't they?
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprising thing for me, because that is how loans should work. You loan out a player. If he does well, he should get a chance to
Yeah,
represent the
I
club.
agree with that. Agree with that.
I think a big miss is gonna be Mr. Ashley Young for them. And it, Billy, a Premier League champion,
Yes, yeah. Everyone
multiple league winner. Multiple league winner.
Yeah,
I
he's
think-
been a good professional. He's a good signing. And when people say they're only signing people over the hill, we're coming to him anyway. But I think he's going to be a miss for Villa, and a lot of their supporters are saying the same thing. By the way,
Yeah, he was something. That's the other thing. They haven't really got a fullbacks. They do have a weakness at fullback positions. I mean, that Diney they bought from Everton, he's shite, isn't he? Let's be honest.
yeah.
What was the
What
point
was
in time?
he? Top 3 in the world at one point.
Top
You were
3 in the
claiming
world
he
in one
was.
stage.
Was he shite? He was never even top. He was barely top 3 at Everton. You know, the only reason he was top 3 at Everton is because Seamus Coleman was playing on the right, and so you can't count him.
No,
Yeah, and the other
no, I think
Moreno.
no,
decent.
I thought he was a good player. I thought at one point he was a very good player player for Everton. But there was hardly a time when Digne was the third best French left back, let alone the best left back.
He's certainly not good enough for what Villa are looking for now. And Moreno's a good signing, but he's what 30.
He's
I think
injured. Isn't he injured anyways?
Yeah, and then they need a right back as well because Cash is terrible. So and obviously Young could cover both fullback positions. They're going to miss that. So that's for me. Their weakness is they need more goals in the team. They just haven't got enough. Watkins did well through Nayem, but is it just a purple patch or is this him finally finding his goal scoring ability sorted at last? The fullback positions, they just don't look right. I don't know whether maybe he's going to switch to a back three or something. I don't know, but I just don't think they look right down the flanks.
Pau Torres is going to be an interesting watch because he was linked with, I'd say, pretty much every big club and ended up at Aston Villa. I'll be very interested to see. No, Pau Torres.
Pau Torres, the centre back. Yeah,
Pau Torres, yeah.
Very rash. Very rash.
But he was linked with Barca, Real, Man United, Man City, Chelsea at some point, Spurs,
Liverpool as well.
PSG, Liverpool, Juventus, Bayern Munich, everyone. He was linked with everyone.
Yeah, but nobody wanted him in the end, which is odd. But he's very, very rash, and that's maybe what put them off.
My impression of him is he's very elegant on the ball, but slower than Harry Maguire on the turn.
Yeah, and which is probably why.
That can't be a real truth.
Remember the exact words on the turn. Slower than Harry Maguire on the turn. I'm not saying he's slower than Harry Maguire.
Yeah, that's. I think I was going to say. I think that's why he's so rash, because if he gets turned, if they turn him, he's in trouble, and I think that's why he often, goes in too wildly, trying desperately to make sure he doesn't get turned, because he knows if he's turned, he's done. I think that could be why. Which it quite often happens with a player. They know they've got a weakness, so they try and avoid it.
Yeah, overcompensating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it very often happens, and I do feel that's probably what's happening with him. Right,
I
should we
feel
move
like
on to?
No, what do you think they're gonna finish with?
Oh, I thought I said. Did I not say?
I thought we said that. Yeah, I said.
No, you said it. You said Billy. You said they're gonna be overachievers.
I thought Trish said first, yeah, that they were gonna be mid-table.
Yeah,
you thought they were gonna finish first? They're gonna win the league?
No, it definitely wasn't that.
It was a joke, Billy.
Yeah, Billy might have said that. It's the kind of thing he'd say. No, he's. I can't remember what I said. I think they'll be top 8, but they'll be battling out. It really depends on how they get on in Europe. I think Europe's going to be their main focus, because that's Emery's platform, and I think they'll do really well there.
Yeah, and what's better, finishing 8th or finishing 10th and winning the Conference League? Obviously,
Exactly.
The Conference League, or even finishing 14th and winning the Conference League, or if you're a legend. Or if you're a legend in the game like David Moyes, then barely avoiding relegation and then winning the Conference League, and you become a hero.
Or so he believes. Yeah, I think there's a very mixed feeling
it's
among
gone
West Ham fans.
It's gone to his head.
Yeah.
That victory has gone to his head.
Yeah.
We haven't got on for them yet.
I think that, in retrospect, we might end up looking at that as one of the worst, not worst, one of the very bad things that happened to West Ham in recent history, but we've not gotten to the West Ham yet.
Yeah, Tottenham's next. Spurs.
Yeah.
Okay, the biggest elephant in the room. Harry Kane. No, I wasn't talking about myself, it was Harry Kane.
It could have
It
been
was a
me or you,
metaphorical.
really, when you said biggest elephant. Yeah.
Where, what do you think the Harry Kane scenario is going to end up? I think he's staying at something. So,
Do you? Well, I think he'd
yeah.
have to
I
be a
think it's
moron to
going.
stay there. He'd have to be a moron to stay at Spurs. I mean, there's no reason. The only reason to stay at Spurs is to set a Premier League record of goals scored. But
No,
why would you do
I think
that
it's
when
to get the
you
millions
earn
he
more?
wants.
You earn more money at Bayern. You get the transfer fee percent. You get 5% of the transfer fee. 100 million, remember? 5% of that, you're set for life already. Your wages are higher, and you're going to win trophies. Well, you're competing you're competing for potentially to win the Champions League. That's the kind of level they're at. You'd have to be an absolute moron to stay at Spurs over Bayern Munich, especially as he's not even a Spurs fan. He's not a childhood Spurs fan or anything. So why would you do it?
and also I think it's not as certain that it's going to be buying for him. I think Spurs accepting this bid is
Does
more.
open the market, yeah.
It just opens the market. Okay, let's say Chelsea can come in for him now because they know a ballpark figure that Spurs are willing to accept.
Yeah, I don't think they'd sell him to Chelsea though. I think that is one thing.
No, I'm just giving examples. It shows Real Madrid how much money they need to
I
spend
don't
if
see
they
Real
wanted
Madrid
to.
being interested in him.
Come on, I'm just giving you examples. A Man City can look, oh, this is how much we need, or United can look, oh, this is how much.
Yeah, but you've got to be
outlet you
realistic.
need.
Who else is it? Who else needs a striker can afford that kind of money? There's only really Man United who are in the middle of a takeover.
No, this.
So they probably
No,
can't
no.
afford it.
There's one team who are gonna lose pretty much their whole superstar attack.
PSG.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've already been buying, and they're buying in a different market now. They're buying younger players to come bring on. They're not even been looking at players like Kane. That's the thing. Under
Yeah, but
Campos,
imagine if they can get their wish and get rid of Neymar as well, and Mbappe already leaving. Surely they're gonna need a striker to score the goals for now as well, because they surely don't want to lose the league.
Yeah, I think they go and buy an Osimhen.
That one looks dead in the water.
But I just don't see them moving for Kane. I think Kane's going to end up his only option this summer because of the way Levy's messed them about. I think his only option is Bayern, really, and I think that's it. The only other team that could really afford to pay the money is Chelsea right now or PSG, and PSG have got working in a different market at the moment, and I don't think Levy will sell to Chelsea. So I think it's Bayern or nothing. And I don't think he's stupid enough. I know he's not the brightest bulb in the box, but he's not that stupid that he'd set Spurs over Bayern, is he? Surely.
And also, like,
Bayern was
need to sell him. Bayern have agreed a fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it hasn't been ratified yet, has it?
No, the deal's not done, but they've just agreed a fee with
Spurs. Levy is open to sell.
Yeah, so it's just open.
Right, okay.
It's just meant that they've now just got to agree a deal with Kane. But if he doesn't choose going there, Bayern, I just don't understand it.
Now, if I am Harry Kane, then I would just say take the deal. I would take the deal at Bayern. Give them 2, maybe 3 seasons. If you win the Champions League, then 2. If not, then 3 seasons. Then you can come back into the English football. Get about 3 decent seasons out of yours. Make a run for series record. Goals away. He's somewhere around 50 goals away.
It's fit.
Yeah, he needs around 50-60 goals to overtake Cedar. I think if I am Harry Kane, I have confidence in myself to keep myself sharp enough to aim for that when I'm 32 or 33. I know people think like when you talk about Shearer, you talk about his goal tally, not his Premier League, but you don't talk about him as a winner either.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Kane
Yeah,
needs.
it goes both ways. You can say, oh, you talk about his goals, but you also never talk about him being a winner.
Because he
Him
doesn't.
taking the yeah.
Yeah, I think he needs to go for his career. The
Yeah,
question
we
is
can see that.
then, but when he goes, I'm assuming, if he goes, whatever. What do Spurs do to replace him? They've spent heavily already. Like they've already spent nearly 200 million.
Richarlison.
Yeah. What a player.
He's not going to score the goals. He's not going to score the goals Kane did, though, is he? So, but then they're playing the new system under Postecoglou. I've got to admit, I do think Postecoglou's an interesting choice, and it'll be exciting to watch them. At least they'll play like really good attacking football. He'll have them holding a high line. They'll run the risk of the keeper being chipped, like we saw with Anana the other day. That kind of thing happens a lot to Postecoglou's keepers because he has them playing such a high sweeper role.
And by the way, do you think it's Onana's mistake? Because I don't think that's
No,
Onana's
it's not.
mistake.
That's how he say,
That was stupid. Yeah, that was stupid from Dalot to lose the ball like that, and that
Yeah.
was very good finish.
Yeah, that's a risk you take. You have to take that risk when you're playing when you're playing a keeper that high up his line, and you need to if you're going to play a pressing high press attacking football game. It's what you need them to do, and it is a risk, but it's a risk and reward strategy. It's like anything. When you're playing a press, you're always running a risk of someone running in behind. That's a risk you have to take if you play a press because you have to be high up. You can't play deep or you can't play a press. You know what I mean? You have to have space in behind to open it. It's a similar thing. You have to have space in behind the keeper that they can put it into. You just can't do anything about it. It's just the thing you got to do is play it better. Not give the ball away stupidly and that. I do.
Who do you think's going to be the main focus, Chris, of the tackle will it be Stone now if Harry Kane goes? Do you expect Stone to step up and take the centre forward position?
I don't know. Him or Richarlison, it's got to be surely.
I think it would be a very good career move for Son to move into a centre forward role.
Should he play there?
Yeah, and I think for Spurs it would be a smart idea to go for a striker who is very good in wide areas, someone like Jonathan David or Kolo Muani.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, the price of them's gone through the roof. I mean, David's has got a Saudi team after him, hasn't he?
And Kolo Muani probably would have been a target, a real target for Man United if he wasn't that expensive.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like another one they're asking for 100 million for. I do think they wasted money on Maddison. Not that he's a bad player, but he's just got too many attitude problems and doesn't train hard enough. Far too busy living the life rather than working on his game. But
he's your quintessential Spurs player. Like if you built a footballer from ground up to be Tottenham Spurs, then it would be James Maddison.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's a very good way of looking at it.
When good, very good. When bad, real shit.
Yeah, and he's prone to folding and just giving up when he's having a bad day. Yeah, which is very Spursy. Just like, when it's going wrong, it's just kind of like they just pack it in, don't they, and just say, well, then. They just let it overrun them.
So where do we see Spurs finishing this year?
Sheesh.
Without Harry Kane, which could be likely.
Whoa.
Spurs can't live with Harry Kane and they can't live without Harry Kane.
No. I'm looking around 10th for Spurs. Yourself?
I think I think that's not the worst start, but I think it's gonna be a European Conference kind of a season
Yeah.
for them. I wouldn't be completely surprised if they made a good cup run. Maybe get to a Carabao or a FA Cup semi-final or a final, and who knows what happens.
They get beat. I know what happens. They get beat.
I think they'll.
It's Spurs we're talking about.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be around seventh for them.
Yeah, and me. I can see them being around 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere around there. I
Bit
think.
lower for me, I must admit. Bit lower.
I think the.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
non-European football is gonna be a factor for
Yeah.
Postecoglou. I think he's gonna
Yes.
get more time to work with players.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And he's got no European football, which is a big advantage.
Yeah, if Spurs have a brilliant season, a very successful season, they're gonna play around 50 games.
Mm.
If Man United have a horrendous, unsuccessful season, or if Man City have a unsuccessful season, they're gonna play around 55 to 60 games.
Mm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got an advantage. They'll have more time in between, breaks in between to work on any problems, coach them into the
And also players can recuperate more.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is travel is a massive part of the injury problems and lack of. It's more than anything is what causes. That's why I get annoyed with this talk about them. People complaining about the. It's going to be the equivalent of playing 6 extra games with all this extra time they're playing and all that. And I'm just thinking it's not, because playing longer is not an issue. The problem is it's the travel. Playing more games is an issue because of travel in between and lack of rest in between. It's not because of the amount of time you play for. This is why I don't understand the moaning about it. It's a good thing this game. In fact, I think we should move on to Brentford, because this is a big part of what I think is going to be their major problem. Is next season is no time wasting. They're not going to be able to get away with the cheating they've been doing since they got into the league. That's been a major part of their game plan under Thomas Frank. I know everyone loves him, but I'm not convinced. I think he's just as his team time wasting, and they're just not good to watch for me. I don't like the way they play. I understand that they're a small, they've not got the money. They're small financially. They're trying to equalise the lack of revenue by using time-wasting tactics, etc. But for me, it's just a form of cheating, and it's about time it's been stopped. And I'm glad to see it is, but I think it'll really, really cause them problems. I still think they've got the potential to make up for it. They've got enough in their team to get away with it, but I can't see them being in the top half next season because of it. I think it's really going to see them struggle, because teams aren't going to be able to break up play so easily.
I think they're going to struggle. I said this the other week. I think they're going to be one of the surprise teams of the Premiership next year. I expect them to not be flirting with relegation, but not far above it.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be anything like what they've had the last 2 seasons. The other lad's not playing, the centre forward, because it's fine.
Well, yeah.
It's going to be a massive loss to them for how many? 3 months? Not 3 months.
6 months.
6
January.
Yeah,
6 months. Yeah, 3 months from when the game started. Man, I don't know.
No, he can only train. He comes back to training then after 3 months, isn't it?
His ban ends in January, and I'm willing to bet on that.
I like that, Dix. Yeah, nice one.
Oh God, that joke's never gonna get good, is it?
It might.
Yeah, I think they're the strugglers this year. They're one of the strugglers.
Yeah,
surprisingly,
I think what you're trying to say, Billy, is they're gonna have a Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very Crystal Palace. Yeah, you're right. It's a good comparison. I think they're going to be a very Palacey side.
And losing Raya is going to be a big problem as well.
Oh, I think their replacement is not too savvy either.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. I'm not impressed with how they've replaced him.
No, I'm impressed with how they've replaced him. I think Mark Flecken is a good replacement for him. It might take him a few months to
Do you
get in,
think
but
so?
I don't think he's a downgrade on Raya as such.
Really? Oh, maybe it's a
Yeah.
little. Oh, Freiburg keeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he was
Flecken.
that good when I saw him. Maybe I've not watched enough. I've not watched a lot of him, admittedly, but he wasn't very impressive when I saw him. I've got to say. But you've probably watched a lot more Bundesliga than I
No,
have.
no, no, no.
I've only seen him a couple of times.
I think this also boils down to the fact that I'm not as huge of a Raya fan as you are.
Yeah, I think he was all right. I think he was a decent keeper. I don't think he was top class, but
Is he better or worse than Ramsdale?
well, that's the thing. I think he is slightly better than Ramsdale, but he's just less of a dick, you know. So maybe that's what it is, rather than he's better. I don't know. You know, he's less dislikable than Ramsdale is. I'm sure if you're an Arsenal fan, it's quite the opposite, and you love him but for any other teams, he's just comes across as a massive
Ramsdale.
bellend, doesn't he?
I think Ramsdale is a bit like Lisandro Martinez. If he isn't in your team, you're not gonna like him.
I don't know. I like Martinez personally, but I like players like that. They're aggressive and you know they pitbull types.
Did you see the tussle with Jude Bellingham?
Yeah, they didn't get on well, did they?
No, but Bellingham was very positive about him after the game. It's like we were not that friendly during the game, but right after the game he was so.
Yeah, so that's what you want with players, though, isn't it? You want players to actually be on there fighting for your team, and then off the pitch you want them to be. I don't care. I want them to be mates afterwards, because that's how it should be. It's a game. You shouldn't be carrying it off the pitch.
Yeah.
You know,
no, like that is what I'm saying. Bellingham was saying although we had a tussle and all that, but he was so respectful after the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I like about Martinez. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I like the way he is. He fights for his team. He'll give everything. He'll go. You know, he's hard and he's nasty when he needs to be for his team. But like, as soon as the game finishes, that's it. It's over and done with. He's not like it's not personal. It's just the way he plays the game. I like that about him. But yeah, anyway, what were we? Brentford. Sorry.
David Raya. We were talking about Raya.
Yeah, I do think he'll be a miss just because they're so used to playing with him as well. Though I think Nathan Collins is a decent acquisition for them. If they can get him playing to his best, he did struggle at Wolves for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I think he's got something about him, Nathan Collins. But I just see them struggling because they changed the rules. It's really going to affect them most of all because they're the team that were the worst for time wasting by far. They used it as a tactic. It was a full-on tactic for them.
Yeah, they were horrible to watch, Brentford.
It was exciting at first. It was interesting because it was different, but like it got grating after a while, didn't it? The first few weeks. So where do you think they'll finish then, Seamus? Because those two have both said we think they'll struggle.
Well, like I said, Crystal Palace.
So
never in danger, never in actual danger of getting relegated.
But got you.
But never gonna threaten anything. I think that's also because they're losing goals, and if you lose a player to suspension, you can't even afford to replace him.
So you're not even getting money in to replace him. That's a real problem.
Yeah. If Tony was sold, then you can say maybe they can bring in this player or that player to replace. But it's unless you do some kind of a weird loan deal for someone like a Balogun, for instance. Then
that would be an excellent one, actually. Yeah. That's a great shout. That I wonder why they haven't thought of that.
Or if I was negotiating with Arsenal for Raya, then that would have been my condition.
That's what I
Especially
mean.
since it looks like it's going to be a loan deal as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It seems like the perfect solution to both sides.
Yeah,
Gives
you
them-
scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yeah, it gives them a chance to compete in the Premier League, and they can have Arsenal can see if he actually has got it or not. Yeah, I think both sides have missed the trick there. Could have worked for both parties. But yeah, anyway.
See, I'm telling you again. I've told you this before. This director of football thing is too easy. I don't know how some people can figure it out. It's like child's play.
Yeah.
You missed your vocation there, I think.
Yeah. You should have done a sports degree, mate.
Instead of a
Go for it.
model career.
Yeah. You're not cut out to be a model, but you could have been cut out to be a sporting director. Oh well, you
No,
missed your calling.
no, I'm made to be cut out.
Wow. It's a lot to cut out though, isn't it? I mean, you need a big wall to hang it on, let's be honest. I'm going to stop.
Who's next, Chris?
Where are we? Fulham. Next.
It's Fulham.
Yeah, they.
Massively overachieved last year.
Yeah, you can't see it happening this season, can you?
I can't. I really can't.
I wouldn't be surprised if they got relegated.
You think they'll get
I don't think
relegated?
they're that bad.
No,
I think
I
they'll be
wouldn't
in
be surprised
danger.
if they were relegated.
Yeah, I think they're in danger of that. Looking at their buys in particular, I mean, they've bought him and it looks like he's replacing Mitrovic.
Yeah, he's a funny one. I mean, Mitrovic is an absolute miles by the open. So, but he is he's going to be a massive loss for us. He scored a lot of goals that got them points last year, and if they haven't got Mitrovic, they're going to have a lot less points than what they had last year. So they will be down there. I'm thinking 14th, 15th, 16th.
Yeah,
Down
I
there.
think they're fine. They're definitely in the relegation fight, but whether they will get relegated or not, you would think not. But you never know. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they got relegated.
No.
But I
No, I
don't
think they're
see them
gonna
being in
struggle.
the top half. I really don't. I see them. I mind you, we probably said similar last season as well before the season started. To be fair.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
but this season they're going with negativity. They're starting this season. They're starting this season with negativity.
Yeah, last season they were coming up from the championship, weren't they, and riding high with players in form and
Players wanting to fight for their places and all that, but no.
Yeah, now I mean they're losing players like Mitrovic, and they're looking like a different prospect, aren't they, this season? I mean, they've not brought in a single penny in transfers so far. And their signings don't inspire confidence. Calvin Bassey, he's alright, but not exactly a... And Raul Jimenez, I mean, he's been finished for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's a shame I didn't have to be honest with you. He's had a lot of passion.
Oh, he was brilliant. He was the key player for them, and then he had that head injury. He's never been the same. It's such a shame.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, I like them.
But yeah, you got to say, if they can even reach mid-table, they'd be punching a rug down.
Yeah, massive season. Yeah, massive season with them.
Yeah, I think they're struggling against relegation. I don't think they'll go down, but I don't think they'll be far away from it.
Yeah, I agree with that, Josh.
Yeah. What about you, Seamus?
I think they're gonna struggle. They're gonna flirt with relegation. I think they're gonna have an Everton kind of season from last year.
Play great football and just managed to get away with it.
No, what the heck? I think they're gonna get relegated. They're gonna do a Leicester.
Okay. It's a big shout, but yeah, I can see
I
it.
can see it, yeah.
See
I
it.
really wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if they went down, it wouldn't be a shock at all. It's one of those ones where you just say, yeah, you could see it coming. But
Next
who
up,
Who's next?
Crystal Palace next.
yeah, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, they're so wishy-washy, aren't they? I hope they go down. I'm not a big Palace fan, to be honest with you. They get away with some good results, and Roy Hodgson done well to keep them in the division, to be honest with you. But no, not for me. They're not a side I'd even want in the Premiership, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of the club. Um, I think they're going to struggle massively this year. I don't know if he brought anyone to brought interest.
And Matheus Franca.
Yeah, he looks an interest, son, and Jefferson Lerma's the other one.
Oh, Lerma, yeah, that's right.
I think he's a good
No,
player, actually. I'm surprised Bournemouth let him go. He's a free transfer, no, but I mean, I'm surprised they didn't get him. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
Get
but
him to sign a new contract, that's what I was trying to say.
but I think they're perennial strugglers anyway. But I think they're really relegation fodder this year as well as a couple of other teams. I can't see them doing much. I think their main aim will be to avoid relegation this season. I think that's their goal, and I can't see them taking a lot of points off a lot of teams. I think they're going to really struggle this year.
I think the thing is, Billy, their goal is to stay in the Premier League, but they struggle for goals. So
Yeah.
when they hit the target,
Yeah. I still think that with the way Roy Hodgson will have them playing, they'll have enough to stay in easily. They'll not be in any danger, sadly.
I don't think it's going to be as comfortable for Crystal Palace as it's been in the previous seasons, but there are at least 3 or 4 worse sides than them in the league.
Easy.
I think you might be shocked. I think they might be in it from the start this year. I think they might be one of the teams I'd actually put down to go down.
Possibly. Again, it's one of those, if they went down, nobody would be surprised, would they? Let's be honest.
No, I think they've had their stay. They've had their few years in the Premiership, and I think it's time for them to go down. And good riddance to them from me. But
is that a football pundit Billy talking, or an Everton fan hoping that there are 3 worst sides in the league?
That's a football pundit talking there. Everton won't be in the relegation, mate. I can assure you that.
Oh.
But we're not on to them yet.
Yeah, it's probably going to take about 5 more tries to get to Everton.
Yeah, we'll go on to Chelsea now. We'll move on to Chelsea because there's not really a lot more to say about Crystal Palace. They haven't really done anything to have much to talk about.
No.
So they've just lost a few players on a freeze, and that's it, really. So Chelsea, I mean, I don't get there. Again, their transfers seem a bit mishmash again.
Yeah.
Nicholas Jackson.
I don't understand. I don't understand how a club can spend more than $500 million, have about 45 players on the books, and yet lack quality in so many positions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And yet you look at what they've got rid of, and it's not, apart from Kante, who could never stay fit. So really, that's kind of like, he had to go. Really, he was never going to stay fit. Apart from that, they haven't really lost anything. Oh, Mount, I suppose. I forgot about Mount.
Yeah.
Sorry. Apologise. Apart from, Mount, they've only lost one. What I was going to say is they've only actually lost one player who really does make their team better. Apart from Kante, who couldn't stay fit. But you look at their signings, you think, and Nkunku, great signing. Already injured.
Got injured again.
Disasi.
Got injured again.
Yes. He's got
the issues again.
Yeah, long-standing problem with his knees. It was a strange signing. That's what was. Who was the other one? Adams. Their signing. They said there was no problem with the medical. Ed 2 was saying he's got long-standing hamstring problems. How can there not be an issue in the medical? There has to be an issue in the medical. They should have been. If they're not looking at him properly. I think there's an issue with their medicals if they haven't noticed that he's got a problem with his hamstrings. because he has.
Well,
got a
at least
problem
with him,
his
he's a
hamstring.
backup.
But even so, yeah, he's not really what a great player, and I don't see the need for him. I mean, they don't need players like that. They've got a great youth system. Play the youth. It just makes no sense.
Exactly my point.
Yeah, you got Nicholas Jackson. Looks a good signing, but he's raw, young. Ukachukwu looks like he could be a good sign. Again, raw, young. He just doesn't seem to be any improvement on what they've already got in their youth teams. I don't understand it. And
He's
so,
not even gonna be there. Isn't he going on loan to Strasbourg?
Yeah, I think he is going on loan, isn't he? I don't think it's done yet, though, is it? I don't think it's completed because it's not. But I did hear he was going straight back out on loan. And then Sanchez. I mean, what the fucking hell have they signed him for? They've just got rid of a shite keeper in Edward Mendy, and then they brought in one that's even worse in Robert Sanchez. I mean, he isn't a good keeper by any stretch of the imagination. Why would you sign him? I just don't get it. I mean, Colwell's a great keeping him. Brilliant decision. That's something they've done right. Colwell's is a really classy looking left-sided centre.
Yeah, I know you liked him,
The
didn't you?
rarest
Did you?
sense teeth. I would have loved him at Liverpool this summer. I think
Yeah, I know you were saying that.
if you couldn't get Gvardiol, he's the next best option. When we were talking about the ones, I was not including him simply because he wasn't available. He wanted to stay at Chelsea, so he was never an option. That's why I didn't mention him earlier.
And Klopp was on the risk of getting flagged up for.
Well, he wasn't going to move anyway, so he was wasting his time. It was a stupid decision. It was stupid to even try. He's a Chelsea fan whose only issue was he wants to play for Chelsea, and he's only going to move if Chelsea basically said we don't want you to be in the team. And they weren't going to say that because he's too good. I don't get the.
Yeah, very sad Chelsea. They wanted, a lot more is going to be expected of them than what they had last year. Last year was an absolute nightmare for them.
But I'm not
You
sure
expect Chelsea to be top 4, top 5 at the worst. And, the money they spent, the good players that they've got, but they don't play as a team. And the best bit of business they've ever done in the history was get rid of the lad Arsenal bought.
Jorginho.
Kai Havertz, getting rid of him.
Yeah, Arsenal helped them out, taking Havertz and
absolutely, they have.
Absolutely. I thought Chelsea was starting to show signs of getting it together last season, and then they sacked Potter just as they were looking like they were improving. Finally starting to get to grips with his system and that. I think they'll probably, they'll be better off with Pochettino simply because he'll get them playing better than they were last season. But that's down to the players rather than Pochettino being better than Potter, is what I mean. I think they'll have a better season than last season. But again, I don't see them them challenging at the top. They're not, the best they can possibly hope for is scraping 4th place for me. That would be the very, very best. And when you consider they've spent £500 million on players the last 2 summers, the last 3 windows, January's, that shouldn't be their aim. They should be aiming to be challenging at the top, and they're nowhere near it.
No, they're not, no. But as you say, Pochettino will make a difference. I really believe that.
But he's not a winner, though. He's another one. He's not a winner.
No, I know what you're saying, but he does serve up a better brand of football. And he might not be a winner, but I think he's a better man manager than they've had in the last few. And I think he'll do okay.
Better than Lampard? Oh.
A little bit, just a little bit.
But the legend that is Frank Lampard, he was so great at Everton.
He's had a bad press, Frank. But he deserved every bit of it.
I agree with you, he has got a bad press. He should have been kept at Everton for life. He should have been made the life manager. Best Everton manager of my lifetime.
Obviously, because how many more Everton managers have almost got them relegated and gotten a team and gotten a chance to manage a team worth $3 billion?
That's insane, mate. It's insane. How did he get the job at Chelsea after the way he performed? Unreal. But I mean, Chelsea have just been bizarre since the takeover. Well, a bit before it,
Yeah.
to be honest. Everything seems to have. They just seem to have lost their way.
Do you reckon that this FFP are going to investigate
Chelsea reported it themselves. That
Abramovich? Yeah, Abramovich's dealings. Yeah, so that could be a factor, couldn't it? You know, if there's going to be a points deduction or an embargo or whatever it's going to be.
Well, I think it'd be a bit harsh if they're getting a points deduction after they've reported it themselves about a previous regime when you've got Everton and City still swanning around to carry on as normal while they've had it cloud over their head for however long it's been now, because it feels like about 20 years they've been getting away with it.
Yeah, I think Everton are in trouble when they finally come to the book.
If they're not, questions need to be asked, because they were clearly what they did at the over COVID, where they declared 7,000 million was due to COVID, when everybody else said it was like 20 million. They lost due to COVID. I mean, that alone should have seen them sanctioned immediately. I mean, I don't see there was even a question about how that got away with that.
I know it's a Man City thing, but Everton adamant that they've done absolutely nothing wrong. I'm not saying that they haven't, but the actual shareholders and the finance group have said that Everton won't be getting any sanctions because they've done absolutely nothing wrong, and they can prove it. Now, whether they can, I don't know, but that's the Everton stance on it at the moment.
If it comes down, they get away with it, and it's proven. I'm going to use air quotes on that you can't see that they did nothing wrong. Then the whole point, the FFP.
I'm just saying what the club is saying, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
The club's official stance.
If that is how it ends up, then FFP may as well just be scrapped because it's pointless. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Because it's clear they've not been following FFP guidelines or anything like it.
Well, we're not on Everton yet. We've still got to talk about Chelsea.
Yeah, so where do we think they'll finish?
I'm saying they're going to perform a lot better, and they're going to be top 7, possibly up to 5th. But between 5th and 7th for me.
Seamus?
I think you guys are forgetting the fact that for all he tries to sound pro-Chelsea, Pochettino is an ex-Spurs manager, and I am really interested to see how things will pan out
if they have a bad run.
Not if it's not an if, when they have a bad run, because even a treble winning Man City had a bad run.
Good point.
It happens to everyone.
That's fair, very fair point, because that is something that has to be a major worry. So where do you think they'll come?
I think they're going to finish. If they have a blinder of a season, 4th. Otherwise, they're going to finish in Europa League, 5th or 6th. They might win a cup competition, an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. But I think the squad still lacks balance and quality, and there's still about 3 weeks left for the window to shut down. So whatever I say might end up becoming moot by the time the window is over. So
you
never know.
Like the lad Adams, but like I said, I'm not convinced he's got.
Yeah. We might not.
He's not a very good player, so I don't understand that signing. Not at that level. Good mid-table Premier League player, but not more.
We might not agree completely with the price tag, but who knows if they can get Caicedo over the line.
Yeah.
And they might get a striker in as a swap or a replacement for Lukaku. So they've got pawns to play around with. So who knows if they can win one of them.
still don't see them finish. I mean, fourth would be an absolute miracle season if they go fourth. I think with the set, with the way they're set up, and it could come down to I think other teams would have to have an off year for them to finish fourth. So I think they're more likely fifth, sixth, seventh, maybe eighth.
Yeah.
But it's building blocks, isn't it, for them? Because their recovery from last season, I think they'll just be better than last season, and I think that's pretty much all
they've got to be better than last year.
Yeah. Right, so we move on to next team's Wolves. Yeah. Where do we start there? I mean, this Lopetegui thing's been coming all summer.
Can they actually finish below 20th? Is that possible? Yeah.
Why do you think they'd do that bad? I mean, I've looked at their squad. They don't look like they've actually weakened that much, to be honest. They don't look far off. They don't look a bad.
The window is yet to close.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it again. The window is yet to close.
Yeah, that's true. They might lose more players yet. They're clearly Fosun. But I mean, Lopetegui's a bit flighty anyway as a manager. I don't think he was a very good choice for a team. Unless you're competing at the top end, I don't think Lopetegui's a good choice in my opinion. He just tends to just walk. He either gets sacked early or walks. Throws his toys out of the pram so he gets sacked, I should say.
I don't think they're going to do much this season. I expect them to be up just on the outside of the relegation. 17th, 18th, 19th, up in there with Palace, with Brentford. For me, I don't think they're up to much. I don't think they've got great players, and I think they're going to struggle. That's my opinion of Wolves. I don't think they're a good side or something.
No, I think as things stand, it pains me to say, but Gary O'Neill is in for a rude awakening. I think, like Tricia alluded, the background things going on at Wolves, it looks truly horrendous for their prospect, and they're going into the season with so much negativity around them, and I think the negativity has already not just permeated but completely taken over the whole support as well. The fan base seems to be very negative, and I think that negative energy is gonna eventually translate into the stadium and into the team, and I think they might end up getting relegated quite easily.
I think they've.
And for all the players and quality we might allude to, they still haven't addressed their problem of scoring goals.
Yeah, unless Fabio Silva turns out to finally turn into the player I thought he was going to be at one point.
Yeah, but he seems to want to move to PSV on a permanent deal.
I don't think it's happening now. He might do though later in the window. You've got a good point there. Could do, but at the moment he looks to be their first choice striker.
Is their only realistic option because Kalaitis is only coming back from, was it an ACL?
Yeah. Do you know that? Yeah, it's the way it's happened so late, and what bothers me is I said this on the Wolves site is Fosun are selling grasshoppers. They put them up for sale. You don't sell your feeder club unless you're pulling out of the game, basically. You don't sell it. You do not. It's simple as that because it's too much. They're vital in the modern game. They're a huge advantage to have one that you can send players out on loan to, and it just doesn't happen unless you're pulling out. I just got a feeling that they really would like to offload Wolves if they got the chance. I think they will. But I
think we're all saying that they're going to struggle. They are going to struggle because of the state of the club. And as Deeps was saying, the negativity around the club, I think it's going to affect them. And I can see them, really struggling this year.
Bringing back Doherty was really bizarre as well. It's not like they were even desperately in need of a right back either. Of all positions, you know, it's just.
Not a bad one.
Yeah, it just seems like they would, the fans, because the fans loved him when he was there first time. It seemed like it was more about placating the fans than signing a player they wanted, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And they've not brought in anyone into the first team either, except for Doherty.
But do you think they're going to finish
I
fifth?
think Matthias Cunha's in the first team then.
No,
He was on loan. So.
No, that is my point. He was already there.
Yeah,
Or
no, I know
the
he was on
most
loan. And
permanent.
Boubacar Traore was already there on loan.
Yeah, on loan as well.
But yeah, so yeah, you're right. That's the only thing they've done is brought two back from, has brought a couple back from loans that could potentially.
What do you think, Trish?
I think they're
What do you think of the position?
They're in shit.
Yeah.
I like O'Neill as a coach, but I'm not convinced he's a manager. I think he's got the makings of a very, very good coach, but I think he's a bit like Pep Linders. He's not got the tactical acumen to make it as a manager, and I think he's a coach definitely, and I think he's out of his depth there. And I know he saved Bournemouth and he did really well for them, but he didn't do it by playing exciting, attractive football. I just think they're in trouble. But yeah, I think they're going to be in the relegation battle from the start. The negativity around them is such that.
Yeah, and once you get in that rut, it's hard to get out of it, isn't it? Once you get in that rut.
Hard.
And I think you're possibly right. They're going to really struggle.
Yeah, and they might say they might do enough to save themselves, but it's going to be next season going to be the same until they get owners who actually are interested in competing.
The football side, yeah.
Yeah, they're clearly focusing on just clearing house now and looking to get rid of grasshoppers, sell that, bring in some extra cash, and then they'll probably have to look to sell Wolves if they've not brought in enough extra revenue from them. But at best they're going to run them for a profit, and Wolves are not a big money earner. They're not like a franchise like PSG or Liverpool or Man United to bring in the kind of revenue that allows them to compete at the Premier League level. So yeah, so I think they're really.
Yeah, it's a hard season for them.
And even if they stay up, I think it's just more of the same next season as well, unfortunately for them.
Yeah,
it's a shame because
putting off the inevitable. Yeah,
it's a shame because they've been, they came in and looking really exciting, and then it's just all been downhill since their first season. Where do you think they'll finish, Seamus?
Didn't I say rock bottom?
All right, yes.
Yeah.
And Billy, I think you said bottom as well, didn't you?
I said they'd be hovering 17th, 18th, around there. I think they might just have enough to survive, but it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they went down.
Okay, we'll move on to West Ham now then. Obviously, they've sold Rice. They've lost Scamacca. I mean, they're denuding themselves as the better players. That Alvarez might be a decent signing, but other than that, I think they're in real trouble again. They've just, unless they sign decent.
It's also quite late in the day, isn't it?
Yeah,
they sold Rice quite early in the window. They should have.
Yeah,
I just don't understand. They should have already had a player in to replace him.
They could have had one before it was done.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand what they're waiting for.
They knew he was going.
Yeah.
They should have had more foresight and looked for players that they could have replaced him with, because they knew he was going. Everyone knew he was going, and they haven't really replaced him.
Yeah, it's David Moyes for you though. It's Dither and Dave. I mean, they brought in this Tim Steighton, and then he's done nothing but but try and force the you know, he wanted. This is the thing that annoys me with David Moyes. He was the one that told West Ham they needed a proper recruitment specialist, a proper scouting system, you know, fully professionalised scouting system instead of Sullivan taking charge of all the transfers and all that. They needed a recruitment specialist. They brought in Tim Steighton for him. And then all he does is refuse to accept what the signings that Steighton's putting forward, and decides he wants his ones that he hasn't really scouted, because it's like fucking Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay and whoever else.
James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah.
I meant, not Scott McTominay. Sorry, you're right. It's like they're not even good players. This is the thing. I mean, they might do all right in a David Moyes system, but they're not good players. They're not good enough. They're definitely weakening the side this season. And Moyes, he's going to take them down if they're not careful.
I think they'll be all right. But I know what you're saying, and they're going to be dire to watch as well. And obviously, Moyes sides are. That's the way he plays football. But they are. I think they've got enough to stay up. Definitely, they're going to stay up. But they're going to be awful to watch, which is not the West Ham ethos of the supporters who look to see, the nice football played and all that. And I think he's going to be in trouble if they get off to a bad start. I think Moyes is going to be in trouble. It's job.
The fans had already turned on him. It's only the winning the trophy that's kept him in a job.
Yeah, that saved him. Yeah, that saved him.
Yeah, because the fans were booing them off at times last season in the league, but then in the Conference League they were, getting results. It was.
Yeah, he won them a trophy, but it's only a state of execution for me. He's definitely. I think he'll be one of the managers who are going to be in trouble unless they get off to a really good start.
He's definitely
but if they don't,
backwards.
Yeah, I think But he won a trophy for them, which is a big thing for West Ham. Big thing for any club, by the way. But he has won them a trophy, so that was a state of execution. But if they have a bad start, I fear for David Moyes. I think he'll be outdone.
I think he's past his bet. I think his time's been and well gone, and it's West Ham need to replace him and should have done so in the summer. They should have said thank you for the trophy. It was brilliant, but we need we need to go in a different direction.
To go forward.
Yeah. Well, we can't be in a relegation battle after spending 160 million. Which is what they spent last summer. They spent 160 million to put themselves in a relegation battle. I mean, that's just not good enough, is it?
No. And they were at one stage looking at what was one of the favourites to go down as well.
Well, they were looking dead and buried at one point, and and that's all down to David Moyes as well. It's not like this is because this is just injuries or anything like that. It's because of Moyes' tactics. It's so bad.
The tactics were awful.
And the players hate it.
Awful.
You've only heard Rice's comments since leaving about how much he's enjoying actually playing football and stuff like similar sort of. That's not quite what he said, but he's learning so much about football and stuff like that since leave. They're clearly little digs at Moyes. The things he's been saying. I know Moyes is a decent enough bloke. It's not like he's not a decent person. If you ask anyone at Everton who worked there at the time, even like stewards, bar staff, anything like that, any of the cleaners and all that, he would talk to them, spend time with them. He was very friendly and nice. This isn't a dig at him personally, but as a manager, he's just not very good. He's too set and his coaching's out of touch, out of date. I mean, and his style.
It's out of date. That's exactly. It's out of date.
Yeah, he's 20 years behind the times, and it's time he moved to somewhere, moved down levels or weaker leagues, something like that. He's just not right for a team like West Ham, I'd say. And if they don't change him, he's going to continue weakening them until eventually they end up going down under him. So
I don't think he'll be allowed to do it at West Ham this year. I think unless he gets off to a really good start, a very bright start, I think he's going to be one of them who could well get the shop early doors. One of the first to
Yeah,
go.
I can see him getting the shop early because clearly things aren't good behind the scenes. So
No.
otherwise they'd have been spending money by now. So yeah, there's clearly
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
What do you think, Seamus? Oh, Seamus gone.
Is he with, is he with us?
No, I'm still alive. I'm still alive.
Just
Oh,
focus.
go on.
So what do you think then, Seamus?
I think they're gonna have a similar season to what Aston Villa had last year. They're gonna start poorly, and then replace Moyes with someone half decent, but not Adi Hutter. Hey,
Oh,
I got him in.
Get his name in, yeah. Oh,
I might be the master of shoehorning things in.
I'm not sure I'd call you masturbator, maybe.
Hey, my mom might no.
Sorry if you're listening, Deep
No,
Slap.
she doesn't understand.
That's alright. My girlfriend's
even-
on the bed, so she's not going to give me shit over it either. So.
Yeah, so you think they're going to be in a bit of trouble, Deeps?
No, I think the as a whole they're gonna have a net positive season, but I don't think they're gonna be the best starters of the league.
Alright.
Yeah, I think,
By the way, do you think it's gonna be a big miss for them if the Paqueta transfer actually ends up happening?
Yeah, because if they can't find it, they can't even replace what they've already lost. So the last thing they need is to lose their one player who actually provides a bit of creativity. They just don't really have anything, have they?
well, I'm going to say that they're going to finish around 12th to 14th.
Who's gonna score the goals for them?
Well, they've still got time to bring someone in, but they're going to struggle for goals, yeah. But Moyes is such a grafter rather than a tactician or play elegant football that he's going to grind out results. He's done it all his life. And he's
Yeah.
going to try and grind out results, which is his forte. Or I think if they do get off to a bad start, he'll be replaced. And if they replace him with someone good, they'll be okay. Someone half decent. I think they'll be okay because they've got some good players at the club.
To be fair, they still got Dings. He can score goals if they actually play balls going forward. That's the thing. If they allow him to go over the halfway line,
Exactly. Yeah.
they've got a chance. So
But he's so
that's
pragmatic in his approach, that he doesn't look. He looks. He's like a cricketer. He looks to not get beat rather than win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you do in a test match. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the hell out of me because
The first thing is not to get beat.
Yeah. And the second thing is not to get beat. And the third thing is not to get beat. You think, yeah, but what about winning? Yeah, that'll come later.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
That should be the first thing.
That doesn't come into it now.
Yeah, no.
Just as long as you don't get beat.
Yeah. Right, we'll move on to Bournemouth then, because I think crack on Bournemouth. I like Andoni Iraola. I think that's a great appointment, even though I think O'Neill after the keeping them.
Well, he kept them up, yeah.
Well, he's a bit unlucky to lose his job, but I can see why, because Iraola's a real coup for a team like Bournemouth to get, and I think he's the one chance of them finishing mid-table again. I think that's why they've got a good chance to avoid him being in a relegation battle next season, because I think he's an excellent coach. He's one for the future, and I like the signing of Alex Scott they've just made as well. I'm not sure about the rest they've done because I don't know much about them, to be honest. I mean, Clivett I'm not that keen on, to be honest. I don't think he's very good, but if he wasn't called Clivett, I don't think anybody would be interested in him.
Yeah, I'll see that, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, they're going to struggle big time.
No,
I don't know much about the manager,
really.
but to be honest, I don't know much about him. But as a team and as a club, I think they could be one to perish. I really do. I think they're going to be in a bit of trouble.
He performed miracles with Rayo Vallecano, so and Mirandesh before that. He is very good. Looks to be a real future top class manager, possibly. I mean, it's hard to tell, but he does look to be in that Nagelsmann bracket. You know what I mean? Of a manager who should.
All right, okay.
And if he hadn't been managing a Rayo Vallecano, you know, if he'd been at a Celta Vigo, say, or something, I think you'd have heard nothing but about how great he was, and he'd have been, you know, earmarked future for Barcelona or something. But
All right, okay. As I say, I don't really know much about him.
Name a manager who's done well at Celta Vigo and managed Barcelona. That's a weird club to pull out of his thin ass.
But they don't do well at Celta Vigo because nobody really does well at Celta Vigo. That's the point. I was saying, like, there are more.
No, there's actually an answer.
Is there?
There's actually an answer. Luis Enrique.
Oh shit! Yeah, Luis Enrique. Of course he did. Yeah. Good one. Good memory. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. It's very rare that managers do well at Celta Vigo. Is why I mentioned them. To be honest, it's just they're kind of like mid-table mediocrity at best. You know, one of those. But I do think Andoni Iraola has got the makings of a top-class manager, and I think he's a real pro. I really do like him. I think he could be the difference for them next season, this season even.
I think they're going to struggle, but that's just my opinion, and possibly because I want them to struggle after what they done last year to the manager. I didn't like that. I'm not a fan of the team. You know, the crafters, but that's about it. They don't bring nothing else to the table for me, and I wouldn't be too unhappy to see them go down, I'll be honest.
So where do you think they'll finish?
I think they'll finish 18th or 19th. I think they're going down.
Seamus?
I think they're gonna take the place of Brentford or Fulham from last season. I think they're gonna have a quietly good season. And I know it leaves a bad taste in the mouth with the way Gary O'Neill was treated, but I think this appointment is more along the lines of when Southampton sacked Nigel Atkins and brought in Mauricio Pochettino. I think it's going to do better for the club.
Yeah.
Although it looks harsh right now, but in a year or two's time, we will probably be saying it was a good overall decision.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent decision to get our Iraola in. It's just a shame it had to be at the expense of O'Neill. I think he was unlucky there, but
yeah,
you get a chance of getting a manager like Iraola in your Bournemouth. You'd have to be idiotic not to take it, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
So I think mid-table mediocrity for them as well. I don't think they'll be in any danger of relegation for me.
Okay. They're one of my teams to go down.
Forest next.
Yeah.
They're still trying to integrate their 55 players from last season.
I hope they go down as well. I hope they have another one to go down. Not a big fan. Don't think they play the greatest football. Chopping and changing. I don't know how they survived last year. I expected them to go down last year. I think it was just a failed execution for them. I think they'll be in real trouble this year.
Steve Cooper's certainly pragmatic along the Moyes lines, it must be said.
Yeah.
What do you think? Oh, sorry.
Go on, James.
I think they shouldn't have been given the chance to open the checkbooks. How can they bring about 1,000 players last summer and then again try and bring another 500 this summer? Their fax machines must get overheated every day.
But their signings
Sending
are
all
very,
those documents.
the signings are very odd. I mean, they've completed the permanent signing of Chris Wood, despite the fact that he was an absolute disaster for them last season. I mean, Matt
Yeah.
Turner, is he really that? He's 29 years old. It's not like he's a young keeper. I don't know.
They should have brought Dean Henderson back.
Well, I think they tried, but it's, deals. They're struggling to make a deal, but they don't. I don't. Alanga, is he possibly a good? That could turn out to be a great
That
signing,
could be
or it
their
could
best
turn out to be a
signing. It
disaster.
could be their best signing, yeah. Yeah.
It just Ola Reines, I think, is the one that's the really good signing they've made. Very good player, I think. I think he's deserved a better. He's been unlucky of his career because he's been messed about with that stupid Chelsea loan system. Yeah, I mean,
Where do you think they're going to finish, Trish?
they'll be in the bottom. They'll be in the bottom 5, definitely. And that, if they finish out, they'll be in a relegation fight all season. But if they survive, that's all that's their aim for the season again, I think.
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
But I think they might struggle. They've not bought well this summer because they've not really bought much. But they've not really been able to sign the top class keeper they need, and their style of football's. But then there's plenty of them that play crap football, so yeah, no, I just think they'll struggle, but I think they're going to end up staying up again. I think they'll probably be 17th or something.
Okay.
I think they're gonna flirt with relegation, and you never know whether they're gonna end up on the right side or the wrong side of that line.
Yeah, that's fair comment. Yeah.
I can't see them being any more than a relegation battle. That's for sure. They're not.
No.
I don't think they're going to be one of the surprise packages.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Billy, it's your time
I
now.
was going to say next one. With
It might be Everton, is it?
2 big signings.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We might have more, actually. There's more coming. And we will not do as bad as people are expecting Everton this year. Everton will do okay. You know why? Because we've got a great manager and we will get the best out of the poor players we've got there. And we'll sign another centre forward. It might actually be the lad Cherititi, whatever his name is, from Sporting. Could be him. But it could be him. We're still linked with a few players. And I think we'll do okay. And my forecast for Everton this year is to finish 12th.
The one thing
That's where I think.
The one thing I don't understand is why did you sell Nkunku?
I don't know. Niles and Conco, you actually got getting 2 million out of that deal. He's just been sold for another 8.5 million. Why they got rid of him is anyone's guess. I really rated him. I thought he had a lot of potential, and I thought he was for what we needed at the time, he should have been in the Everton side. He wasn't. What the reason for that, I couldn't even tell you. But I like Niles and Cuckoo, and I think he should have had a lot's going to depend for Everton on the fitness of Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
Simply because if he carries on with the trouble he's had with injuries, and we don't get a decent striker in, we're going to struggle again. But I feel we will, and I think he will get over these niggles he's had. I know his wife's just had a baby, and this modelling career thing that I puts doubts in my mind. But when he's playing, he's a handful for any defence, and he makes a massive difference to Everton. But while we're carrying players like Neil Maupay, players like that, we're not going to score goals. If he's going to be the backup striker to Calvert-Lewin, we could be in a bit of trouble. But if we, which I hope, which I expect, we do get a decent forward in to give Calvert-Lewin some competition, I think we'll do okay. I think the rest of the team will be organised, will be hard to beat. It's not going to be the prettiest, but I think we'll do okay, and we'll punch a bit above our weight, simply because I think we've got the exact manager we need to keep Everton up and fighting in the side. That's my personal opinion. People obviously differ, but that's my opinion of Everton at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I did want to say the one thing you're saying about Calvert-Lewin's modelling career. Seamus, have you got any inside info on him? And his injuries with you.
Yeah, he should be in the know on that. Is he still with us? Seamus?
He's rising through the ranks, but not quite as fast as me.
No, of course. We expected that.
His progress is lot slower.
Oh.
They think he's got potential, but not quite as high as myself.
Well, I mean,
of course.
you're comparing. I know that it's kind of like talking about Messi level compared to your normal footballer, your normal everyday footballer, isn't it? When you're talking about yourself compared to Calvert-Lewin, isn't it, Seamus?
Yeah, it's like if I was the Messi, then he would be
very messy.
Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, he would be Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, like I said, an average footballer. But that's what worries me, though, Bill. Is you're pinning your focus on a striker who isn't a prolific goal scorer, and he's not. His injury record's horrendous.
It is, yeah.
It is,
but I'm not pinning on the sorry, Tracy. I'm pinning my hopes in that we get someone who's going to challenge him. Someone, the lad from Sporting Lisbon. If that gets done, Suleiman has been linked from Southampton. There's a couple who apparently in the pipeline, although you can't trust the newspapers. But if we get someone in who's going to give him competition, and I mean genuine competition, I think it'll make him a better player, and I think Everton will be a better side for it. I think there's not much wrong with the defence. I think the defence is okay. I think the midfield is a bit wishy-washy, but I think we're going to do a lot better than what people are going to expect from us, because we'll be hard to beat. Those teams are hard to beat. They are.
And you've got Branthwaite back from loan.
Yeah, if he stays. Do you know what they're looking? Man United were looking at him, and in the Harry Maguire swap thing. But that would have been an absolute nightmare. But Branthwaite's got great potential. It's whether Everton's the right club for him. He was at PSV last PSV, and he done really, really well for them. He was getting rave reviews there, and they'd have him back in a heartbeat. And he has actually said that he'd like to go back. If it was at all possible, he'd like to go back. That's what he said. But he really enjoyed his time there. But if Everton can keep hold of him, I think he's got the makings of a really good centre-half. I think other clubs are going to be interested in him. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. I think he's got the potential to be a really good player. And it'll be hard for Everton to keep hold of if someone comes in with a decent offer. But it's got to be a decent offer. Otherwise, why would you let someone with his potential go? And I just hope that they don't let him go, and that he wants to stay at Everton. But Everton haven't been that good to him. When I say they haven't been that good to him, they haven't, fought to keep him. They let him go on loan last year, and when we were crying out for a centre half, we were playing people in centre half who should be nowhere near the team, like Holgate, What, so what, does he feel unloved at Everton? Is that why he's saying about he'd be open to go back to PSV permanently? And, he is being linked to other teams. But I just hope we keep him because I think he's got a future. I really do think he's got a future.
That's why I asked about him. I mean, he's only 21. Left foot, centre back.
And he done really well in the under 21s as well. He was one of the standout performers in that.
His contract only runs till 2025, so the end of this season he's only got 1 year left.
That's going to be the problem. It's the problem with all players once they get to between a year and 2 years. They're looking to move on to better things. You can't blame them for that. But I hope you give Branthwaite the chance to show what he's made of, and either make good money on him or keep him. That's what I'd hope. But I hope keep him. Hopefully, I like to see the young lads come through. But it's a bit of a dilemma at the moment because I'm not sure his heart's at Everton. That's my only problem with Branthwaite. I really want to keep him now. I really do.
Okay, what about Ali? Dele Alli, what do you do with him?
What you do is you try and get rid of him. I really think so. I think he's past the point of rehabilitation as a footballer, not as a person. There's talk of him going back to possibly Spurs, maybe to work as a youth coach or that sort of thing. And they were very supportive of him. Pochettino had nice words to say about him, and that he's still got a lot to offer football. He's no good to Everton at the moment. Dice has told us that he's not even in the first team plans. What they're going to do with him, I really don't know. It'd be best for everyone concerned, in my opinion, if he moved on, done something else with his life. But as a footballer for Everton Football Club, it's just not on at the moment. As much as his confessions and his thingy is, the television interview with what's his name? Fullback at Man United, I can't even think of it. Neville, with the interview with Neville, come across as very genuine. Some people were saying it was disingenuous, but it's the funny one. But he's no good to Everton at the moment. We can't afford to pay a player that sort of money and then pay a £20 million fee once he's played so many games for Everton. The best thing for us is if he moves on, unfortunately.
Okay, so where do you think they'll come anyway?
12th, mate.
12th? Wow.
12th. That's where Everton will finish next year, is 12th.
Okay.
It is a big shout.
Seamus?
Firstly, Everton, they're unfortunate that nobody came in for Pickford. They could have gotten in a decent keeper if that had happened.
Yeah, then they might have had a chance at 12.
He's a good keeper.
Jokes aside, I think Everton are not going to struggle as badly as they did last season, but it's going to be more. I think it's going to be more a case of 14th, 15th, flirting with relegation, but never actually in real danger of getting relegated. But it's going to be. I think it's going to be another nervous season for Everton.
Yeah, bottom half, I think. But again, I think you're right. I don't think they'll get relegated because there's worse teams in them. But that's why.
Yeah.
Rather than them being good, I think they're still.
I think it's more about the manager, to be fair. I think it's more about the manager. They've got the right manager at the club at the moment. You can work with substandard players and get them battling. He's got them fitter, and that was only a dozen games he come in for, whatever. But he had them battling. He had them hard to beat. They beat Arsenal, which scuppered their chances. They obviously wanted to win that game. We actually beat Arsenal. We beat Brighton away at Brighton. Absolutely battered them at Brighton. And there were signs there that he was doing all the right things. Dyche was doing all the right things. And he still made a couple of mistakes for me personally, but I'm not a manager. But he's got the team fitter than they've ever been, I think. Purely through hard work. We haven't lost the pre-season. I know it's not a big thing, it's not the biggest thing, but there's a battling spirit there. There's, they want to play. It's in the interviews with some of the players. They're absolutely delighted that he's there. They come across as saying that anyway. And that everything's a lot harder now than what it was under Frank Lampard. They've got to... You've really got to be fitter. He said that when he come in, you've got to be fitter than what you are now. A lot of work's gone in pre-season for that fitness. And I'm just hoping as well, rather than expectation, that, somewhere out of the relegation, so if we're not in that dogfight and we can rebuild again, because it's a club that needs rebuilding. And it's a long-term project. And FFP and the results of that, of the fine we're going to get or the ban we're going to get, is going to be a massive impact on the club. And that is going to be a thing that could scupper all these plans that I have of us finishing strong.
Yeah, I think it's him that will keep you, that'll keep you safe. That's why I think.
Yeah, I believe in him. I do believe in him.
Should we move on to his former club now, Burnley now?
Yeah, I think they'll do all right. The manager's done absolutely nothing wrong for me. Everything he's touched has turned to gold. It's going to be a lot harder, obviously, in the Premiership than what it was in the Championship. But they seem to be all on the same project. They're all buying into him, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were, one of the sides to stay clear of the relegation, maybe get up to somewhere like halfway. I think they're going to do okay.
Yeah, I can see mid-table mediocrity there. Though they have Redmond and he's shit. Maybe that'll hold them back a bit.
Yeah, what do you think, Deeps?
I think Burnley are... No, I'm here. I think Burnley are in... I think they're going to get a bit of a shock. I think they're in for a rude awakening.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I don't think they've got the quality to be the tippy-tappy, tiki-taka team. And I don't think they've got the overall physicality, brutality, and the mental side to be a Sondice fight for your life outfit either. I think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna be a bottom half mediocre side. They're gonna do well against the likes of Everton and Forest, who don't want to play with the ball. But against the likes of a City or Brighton, they're gonna have trouble matching up to them because they don't have the same kind of quality.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you see someone like Haaland having a field day against them.
Yeah. Or saying that, go on, Deeps.
I think Højlund would enjoy playing against Burnley.
Yeah,
because I think they would want to come out and play, and then leave space for those type of players to exploit.
Yeah, they're the kind of team that Liverpool will look forward to playing.
Yeah.
Unless they try and change the style of play and become something radically different.
I can't see Company doing that though, can you?
I don't expect him to be, but there's always a chance.
But I don't think he'll get them relegated though. Even so,
Yeah. Like I
he
said,
needs it.
they're gonna be a bottom half
Yeah.
mediocre side, somewhere around 13th, 14th.
Which is
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
for
Yeah,
a team like Burnley, that's a great season. So
yeah, it will be. Yeah, but I think they're all buying into the project. I think they won the championship last year. They're on the crest of a wave. There's a lot of positivity about the club, and especially around the manager. And I like what's happening at Burnley at the moment. And I hope they do all right. Uh, I like company. I hope he does well for them, and I hope they have a successful season. Which, as Seamus was saying, would be between 12th and 15th, 16th, whatever. It'd be a successful season.
Oh, survival would be successful in my eyes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Anything that ensures them another season in the Premier League should be a success for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. So move on to Sheffield United.
Oh,
Yeah.
down for the count.
They'll be struggling. I think you're right there.
Yeah,
They weren't a brilliant outfit to begin with, and they've only gone and sold any modicum of quality they had.
yeah.
Who's that?
They are going to struggle this year. If they survive, it'll be a bit of a shock, to be honest with you, I think.
What is actually happening at Sheffield? I can't wrap my head around it. I just don't understand what's the issue there. Promoted side don't go on a sailing spree, especially if they're quality players.
They've only sold 2 players.
They were the only two half decent players they had.
Yeah, you know. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have said Sander Beige was that.
But they don't have a better player. But those two were the best players.
Yeah, I know, but we don't know how good Sousa is that's replaced Beige, or I don't anyway. So maybe he's a big step up. I don't know anything about Benny Traore apart from the fact that he was supposed to be something special not so long ago. Very highly rated. I don't know, maybe they've got... Actually, you know what? Paul Heckenbottom's a better coach than people give... But whether he's Premier League level... I don't know. I can't see anything other than a season of struggle for them. I've got to say.
No, I think they're going to struggle.
They haven't got much money, so they're having to sell to buy. But
yeah,
it's going to be interesting, but I can't see them staying up. I think it's just a case of them fighting relegation, and if they finish above, just outside of it, that'll be a brilliant season for them.
Oh, it will be an amazing season for them, yeah. I think they're in big trouble.
Yeah, you would expect them to go down. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's more chance of them going down than staying up.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
So we move on to Luton then, as well. There's not really a lot to say about Sheffield United.
Luton have made a great signing. Mr. Ross Barkley, what a signing he's going to be for Luton Town.
I take it that's sarcasm. It's got to be sarcasm. Has to be sarcasm. It's a very
well. To be fair, he might actually be the most talented player in their squad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying best player. I'm saying might actually be the most talented player.
What about Chong? Wasn't he supposed to be a talent not so long ago?
Supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the youth players are supposed to be talents. Yeah, very few are talents.
But I've got to say,
I'm being serious. Anytime any big club have a half decent season in the youth team, then every one of the players is supposed to be a talent, but hardly one or two players ever make the
Yeah.
grid.
But I was going to say,
Yeah.
I mean, they deserve to stay up just because for signing Marvelous Nakamba just for his name. Because the name
It's
Marvelous,
marvellous.
he deserves to be playing in the Premier League. It's like that other one, Max Power. I mean, that guy, he just deserves to be in the top flight with a name like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he's shit. You've got to have him in the team.
But maybe it's a question of willpower.
I don't think willpower plays for anyone though. Is there a willpower?
I don't think there is.
Oh, that's a shame.
That is
Because you imagine Max and his brother Will in your team. You've got to win every game. haven't
Max and Will, yeah.
you? Max and willpower. That's like
And the Hulk. We could sign the Hulk as well. That'd be a good sign of them. Hulk.
And there's like 14 different Pelés around as well, isn't there? In various teams. You could surely sign all them. I mean, you know, when they're called Pelé, they've got to be fucking good, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, anyone think they'll stay up?
No, I can't see. I just can't see it. You know, you always get surprises, don't you? Like last year, the three that come up stayed up, which is unheard of, really. I think it's only happened once before. And, you know, there are shocks in teams who come up, but I can't see Luton being one of them. I just don't think they've got anything about them that's going to say to me, oh, they've got a chance this year. You know, they could do what. I can't see it. I just can't see it.
Yeah, you look at their squad and
their home ground. That's the only trump card they've got. Their home ground, Kenilworth Road.
Yeah,
it's
tiny and it's
11,000 euros, doesn't it? There's over 11,000.
226.
Having to go around people's houses and backyards.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be a shock for a lot of supporters and especially a lot of these pampered prima donnas.
Yeah.
That's their big advantage they've got. But you look
so they might. I don't like you. If you're just thinking straight, you probably would say Luton are down for the count and doomed, but they might just scrape through one season in the Premier League on the back of their home form.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You got a fair point. That is a very good point. I've got to say, they could.
That's why I'm paid the big bucks here.
And Rob Edwards is good at getting miracles out of crap teams.
Yeah, you know, anything can happen in football, but it'd be a real shock if they could survive.
Yeah, it will be a huge shock, but I think there's a chance that they just might become very awkward customers for a lot of teams to tackle.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing they can do. The only way they've got a chance as well as surviving is to be awkward. They've got to cause problems. They can't just go in and play the Burnley way, for instance. They're not going to stand any hope in hell of staying up if they do that. It's got to be simple.
No, I can see like Man City going there and coming out with a 0-0 or a 1-1.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Struggling.
I don't know about that.
No, struggling to acclimatize with the whole condition of the stadium.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those ones. Haaland. Sorry, that's because I was editing the Rangers page at the time. It's just I read some of that too. I meant to say Haaland. It's the kind of game that they've got that Haaland's perfect for, because he'll pull them out of his shit by putting one in.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It'll be 0-0 in the 90th minute, and they'll have 25 minutes of injury time because not that anybody got injured, nobody time wasted or anything, but it's Manchester City, and they'll just play until they score.
Now that's actually a fair point. Yeah. They've got a bulldozer now, Man City.
Exactly. If they didn't have Haaland, that's the kind of game they'd drop points in. And a Pep Guardiola team normally would drop points in a game like that. You're right. That is the kind of game that they struggle with because Pep tries to be too clever, and he'll do something different for a game like that because he thinks he can. You know what I mean? He'll just show how much better he is than the opposite. You know, he just wants to show how good he is, and he'll do something. That's the kind of game where he used to put in the inverted fullbacks. You know, where he tried the hybrid system, and and then it cost him points last season. Was trying things like that against teams like Luton, and I could see that happening if they didn't have Haaland, but he'll nick one he'll nick one at some point in the game and they'll win it.
Yeah, but I think we're all agreed that it's going to be a very difficult season for the. Which reckons they could just pull off a miracle, but.
No, I don't think that's likely. I'm just saying like there is a chance. They've got a puncher's chance of surviving because of their home, very awkward home stadium.
It is an advantage they've got to play on. They've got there.
And it's also a disadvantage for almost every other team that they've not been exposed to that kind of atmosphere, that kind of stadium. Yeah, apart from Sheffield and Burnley.
Yeah, they've got a chance. Yeah. They should easily win Luton. I see what he's. I still think they'll go down though. I'm gonna, you've got to say they.
No, I think they're gonna be valiant, but sadly, not enough.
Yeah.
Close, but no cigar for them.
Yeah.
18th.
Okay.
Right. Well, we've done all the teams. I'm going to get my dinner in a minute. No, it's actually the lasagna with salad and garlic bread with the cheese on.
So posh.
Yeah, that is a posh meal for me.
Cooking up a class.
That is it. No, listen.
Bread. I tell you what, you know Peter Kay, you are, you Bill.
That is where all the funds for Everton's transfer are going. To Billy's tummy.
I tell you what, that could buy a few players for Everton. I tell you.
No, Everton are lucky. Everton are actually lucky that they don't have money.
Yeah, because otherwise they'd spend.
Otherwise Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, and Anthony Martial on loan. 3 Ds for sure. Anthony Elanga, he would have been an Everton number 10.
Yeah. They'd have ended up with shite from every other team that wanted to get rid of it. Let's be honest.
That's basically Manchester United.
Particularly Manchester United, you're right there. They do seem to like taking the Man United cast off. Any player that's not quite good enough for Man United, we'll have him.
We'll have him, yeah.
Hang on. Did I just discover the fact that Everton being piss poor is the reason we're not signing Harry Kane?
See, that's what it is. This FFP thing is costing Man United as well as Everton and Chelsea and Man City. Potentially.
Yeah, Everton not having money means we can't afford to sign Harry Kane.
Exactly. See, it could cost you a chance of a league title in the next couple of seasons.
I said that much he was doing a good job.
Yeah, I do like you, Jerry. Legend.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, thanks very much, boys. Really enjoyed chewing the facts today. See how our predictions go over the season, and see they'll probably be right again. But
I should have made
money under the water.
We know how bad you are at predictions. You know how badly you do in that predictions, the editor's predictions game. I mean, you only just beat me in the and we weren't even doing it.
Right, boys. I shall see you next Thursday. Thanks, Steve. I'll see you next week. Ta-ra.
And thank you for listening. Anybody that's listened, see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday. Bye-bye.